We are live. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the Null Time Zone in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the Uncanny Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
And I'm the podcaster, Mr. Chasnail.
Alliance Assemble.
He's back. He's back.
From the Null Time Zone.
Wait a minute. I thought Andrew. Oh, you're not Andrew. Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, no. Right out of the gate with it.
Everyone thinks I'm the wolf.
I'm the werewolf. I'm not the werewolf, I swear.
It's like, what is he talking about?
That's a fun game that he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's a Night of the Werewolf, I think it's called. I don't know, whatever it is. I know what he's talking about. It's a fun game.
Well, when he said Mafia, I knew what he was talking about. That werewolf, I was like, what the heck are you talking about?
Similar idea.
Yeah.
I remember for Mafia, the very first time I played it, it was with my now fiance, and she got so mad because of Mafia. If you don't know, there's this role of the cop, and that means you get to see somebody. So I was part of the bad guys. So she said that she had seen somebody and that I was bad. And I said I was a cop, and I saw that same person, they were bad. And I convinced the whole room to take her out instead of me. And she was very mad because they literally killed the cop. They believed me. And if they did this, like, well, if we kill her, the game's over. We won. They did that. And it wasn't. And it was a great time. But she sat there stewing. Mafia, Avalon. Obviously, there's COVID restrictions and whatnot in the world. But even online, play those games. They're fun. Werewolf, they're good bluffing games. But that's my story of making my fiance very mad at me at one point.
Well, there we go. That's how we start. That's how we start off this show. So,
yeah.
Well, you are back as promised. You're making your first monthly appearance after your little how is work going?
It's going good. It's a little different, whatnot, dealing with a few new fun people, but that's a good thing. But to take a tagline from our sister show, well, here I am, and it would have been sooner, but I had to cover for Trask and Clay's but a few weeks ago because Taylor had to talk about how John Cena would be a perfect Bane. But no, I am back, and you guys have been doing a great job. But I am very much ready to talk some Marvel. Been wanting to jump in a few times. Hopefully they accept my show questions. Chris, a few days ago, was like, I don't know if you want to talk about Daredevil. We can't talk about that suit. Gone for a few weeks. There's a sponsor. They won't take my questions. What happens? That's why I got to hijack the end credit scene. So, but no, I'm very happy to be back.
Good. And Brent, you have returned.
I have. I was working pretty late last week. Not entirely last minute. I found out the day before, but for lack of a better word, my partner at work, he had some personal stuff that he really needed to do, and I'll be honest, I couldn't tell him no. I got a podcast. He really needed the help, so huge shout out and thanks to Heinz there. I really I know he was going to come on anyway to talk about that glorious finale, but I appreciate him slotting up from guest to co-host. That was very helpful.
No, it definitely was. And, I'm definitely in a better place than what I was last week at that point. The car, as I said, has finally arrived at the repair shop from Pennsylvania. That finally happened today after a week when it should have been there 5 days ago. But
that's what happened in the car. Now I remember, because you told me. I'm like, I don't remember I'm in the car. Now I remember the deer.
The coyote. The deer would have totaled the darn thing.
Before show, he's telling me, I'm like, I don't remember you telling me about your car. But now I remember last week where, like, literally from Sunday to Monday, it was this guessing game of who's going to be hosting Marvel Alliance. We're all like, whoa, I could do this. Like,
it was looking dodgy.
It was. It was a little bit, but then we made it time on the road. But yeah, we are back normal time. We have a fun show planned tonight. We had a nice another surprise drop of a trailer that we all very excited about. But before we do that, let's get those lovely network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 9 shows coming at you all 7 days a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. We got my show, World's Finest True Believers. This week we had a retro. This is the second to last retro. We've almost gone through the catalog at that point. This was with my buddy Ryan Lauer from the Batman Book Club. He came back. He has kind of like Joe's anointed himself the man of Lock and Key. Ryan has done the color series from Marvel. So we've gone back now. He did this. Spider-Man Blue was his first one with this. So he came back on after that to do Daredevil Yellow, and then his first time was Batman Noel. So it's a fun time. If you never have read the Loeb Sale color series, highly recommend. Definitely Spider-Man Blue will pull at your heartstrings. Nice little period piece. So after that, we've got DC Alliance, our brothers over there. We've got this show, Marvel Alliance. We've got Slice of Film, Star Wars Alliance, Ranger Alliance. And again, Ranger Alliance will be moving officially to Mondays, every other Monday, effective May 31st. So they will be taking over my retro spot, but World's Finest will still be there on Mondays. But May 31st, Rangers will move. And then we've got superhero discussions. Then we've got Weird Science DC and Marvel Comics Roundup. Then we've got a Patreon. We've got 2 tiers, $1 for the tip jar. Throw some shekels our way. We really appreciate it. And then we've got our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. So lots of stuff getting planned for that. Hopefully, thank you to our patrons. We really appreciate you supporting us. And then if you can't do that, if you got 30 to 90 seconds, we have, if you can go to Apple Podcasts and give us that 5-star review. Well, we want that 5-star review. Really hope you're giving us that kind of good feedback. It helps with the algorithm. Apple Podcasts, what are they doing, Brent? They're changing some stuff. They're trying to be.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they are doing massive changes. But one thing that is still there is the way you listen to it now. Like, that doesn't have to change. If we don't want anything to change, it doesn't have to. So yes, if you're going to leave a review, that's the number one place to do it.
Yes, definitely do it. But if any other podcatcher, we appreciate that. And then, as always, now I can say this: Marvel Alliance now has an official sponsor. Mm-hmm. Organic Price Books is now the official sponsor of Marvel Alliance. So let me make sure to put that banner up as I usually do. My buddy JP is going to become our official sponsor. This is my new one from JP. We've got Roger Stern's Spider-Man run, the famous Hobgoblin run. I know, Travis, you're waiting for yours.
Yeah, Chris has his before mine. I checked, it went out today. So yeah, that sucked. I saw that and I was like, oh, I feel a little left out now. Again, another perk of not hosting Marvel Alliance. You get your book sticker. So I swear next week I better get my Tom Taylor Marvel Wolverine Omnibus on the day it releases Amazon. Come on.
Yeah, so you can shove it in my face because mine will be at least a week later. But yeah, JP at Organic Price Books, he has all the pre-orders, all the big books you want, omnis, collector's editions, trades at that point, all the new stuff coming at you. Very fast shipping, great discounts. You can even earn rewards for every purchase you buy. And if you're there buying some stuff at that point, use the code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. So again, organicpricebooks.com. We appreciate your support, JP, and the store. So, all right.
I have one thing to shout out. I have to shout Sawbone Sanchez here. He said Travis coming back is like when Jason Todd infiltrated the Titan Tower so he could bond with Tim Drake. I feel like that's somewhat fitting because Brent likes the fourth greatest Robin in Tim Drake. But I would
Good Lord, fourth greatest. Where's my crowbar?
Well, that won't be coming in. That won't be coming in Titan season 3. They say it will not be meeting the end of a crowbar.
Yeah, but I did talk to one of my patrons recently. They felt the exact same way as you, that Tim's up there. But no, Sawbone. I guess unfortunately for you, I'm a Dick Grayson guy all the way. So
he's a solid number 2.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But you know what? Either way, it's good to be back if I infiltrate someplace. And talking about Hines too last week, as far as guest starring, he did owe us because I've not mentioned some Marvel Alliance, but he did steal our gimmick of Combo Club. Him and Clay, I've heard. So he owed us a hosting spot.
Well, they're calling it Comic Book Corner, and they claim that we owns the rights to it, but we will claim.
Just wait till my lawyer's got a contact with him. That's coming.
Do I even need to say it? The DC show? Never mind.
No, you're just gonna say that's too easy. But all right. Well, we had a main story idea, and then Marvel again. Travis, I think you said you talked to Mr.
The
Feige.
big Kev Dog.
Yeah. Oh, Kev Dog. Now he's Kev Dog.
My Lord and Savior. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No.
I made a call and I'm like, I'm going to be on Monday. I need something to talk about. I like this Falcon Winter Soldier documentary, but I need something good. He's like, I'm on. I'm getting people to cut it right now. And I said, who's playing MODOK? He said, not so quick, Travis. And then he hung up. He's a trickster.
Patton Oswalt is playing MODOK. We already know that.
That's true. I couldn't get the live action at him though. I'm waiting because that's, as I've said before, the most important casting of all time. So.
Yeah. So, but yes, we got there were some rumors going back and forth on Sunday night. We kind of were hearing rumors something was going to be dropping. We didn't know what. Some Spider-Man images were being posted. This was not what I had thought it was going to be. I don't think any one of us thought it was going to be something like this, but it is basically what I would equate to a sizzle reel for Phase 4. First, we'll cue it up in a minute. A where we've been with a lovely, lovely voiceover by Stan Lee, and just looking at where we've been and where we're going. So, what y'all think of it? First thoughts before we start.
I was at work when this link got dropped in our chat, and I was talking to two other people at the time, and I just kind of bowed out of the conversation, put in my headphones, and started watching it. And I pretty much had to leave the room. This was definitely a chills moment for me. It's like, I'm not going to say it was like Endgame, but it's like, that's the only thing I could think of to even begin to compare. It's like the way it made me feel. You called it a sizzle reel. I'll call it a hype video, whatever you want to call it. It was fantastic. And you know what? A trailer for like Eternals or first footage of Spider-Man. Yeah, that all would have been great. I think this was better. I think this was way cooler. And I don't know. This I thought was phenomenal. And I saw so much love for this. So many people at work told me how it gave them chills, how it made them shed a tear, how one guy's like, this is going to make me cry, isn't it? So many people text me, and like regular people, not just the nerds. We got a couple of the nerds did, because we got some new nerds at work.
Regular
people. They're my people. But even the regulars are saying, I saw people on Facebook, which my Facebook feed is tons of regular GA people. Like all my nerd stuff is on other socials. And I'm like, people are so hyped for this. And any worry of the hype for the MCU going down after Endgame and after Far From Home, in my opinion, it's like there's nothing to be concerned about. It's still at its height.
No, I agree. I thought it was great. I can't remember which theater released it a few weeks ago. It was like that welcome back to the movies sort of deal. I can't remember which brand, but it was showing a bunch of the movies coming up and people getting excited and going to theaters. And I think this was the Marvel version of that, and I think they did a great job. People have pointed out in the chat, like the Stan Lee voiceover was just a perfect choice for that. But I think it's a combination of we are nowhere near the end of the pandemic, but it's that kind of there's the light at the tunnel and things are hopefully going to be getting better. And the fact we're getting movies again is a great thing. Because I remember a few weeks ago, I can't remember what you guys were talking about, but Brent said something about like we should have seen Shang-Chi by now. Probably going to talk about the trailer. And man, that was depressing to hear. Like it was so depressing to think about. Like there's people have been memeing all week, but it's like literally if we were in the real world when none of this went wrong, we'd be seeing Doctor Strange in 2 days, like it's crazy to think about, but it's just, and when I thought about that's when my fiance like, man, this is awful. Like we should have seen all this stuff by now. And we're just stuck. We're like Ant-Man when he got, stuck in this van and got snapped. We were just sitting there waiting. But the thing is a rat's come along and he's finally pushed the button and we're on our way out of here. Now we still got to get through seeing the grave sites and all this stuff, but we're closer to a time heist. And I think this was a great job. I think it got everyone very excited because I think it's just that like we're back kind of moment. And yeah, I think the whole people being done with Marvel, of course, some people are done with Marvel, but the majority of people that's saying, oh, after Endgame, I'm done. I think that's a big myth. I think there's a select few, but I also think that we've gotten the combo of WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier back to back that even if you were done with Endgame, it's got enough people excited. And I think they're ready to see a big budget, huge adventure on the screen. Because we get that, of course, on TV, but this is going to be like, hopefully, if you're seeing it theaters, if you want to, speakers, and if not, you can watch it at home. So I think this was just a great, we're back, get ready, and I think we're all ready because we got 2 months and 5 days, and Black Widow is going to be here and actually be here. Not this, oh, will, won't they, will they not, whether it's at home or Disney Plus, we got an option to see it. So I think they did a great job of just overall getting people excited.
Yeah, I agree. As soon as, and I'll just have to, we won't be doing sound, but as soon, not just Stan's voice and talk about, I don't know where they got that quote. I don't know if it was spliced together, whatever, but right when they got to after the portal sequence in Avengers Assemble, when that Marvel fanfare hit down, there was a huge smile on my face when it finally came with WandaVision. This was the biggest smile, goose bumps all over at that point. Again, I love DC, I love Marvel, anything like this, but there's something about that fanfare. I have missed about going to the theater, and this just is getting me so excited about July 9th, or hopefully maybe a July 8th, early preview screening. So
that for the record, that Stan Lee quote actually comes from like an anti-hate, anti-bigotry, anti-racist video he put out a few years ago.
All right.
Not terribly long before he passed. So it's technically spliced because those were lines within a longer segment, but it's all from the same video, the same speech, and it's all him.
Yeah, all in the game says take it from his response to Charlottesville. So
there you go. Thank you.
Yep, exactly. Good call. So, all right. So, as usual, there'll be no sound. Can't blow it up at that point. Don't want to get demonetized. So we'll play this. And gentlemen, feel free to. I'll be just focusing on that, so I won't be seeing the chat. But feel free to stop. I may stop at points, but feel free to stop me at points.
Well, I think like you were saying, Brent, with this video, it was like a good kind of where we are to like an update, because there are people that maybe still actually haven't seen WandaVision or Falcon Winter Soldier. Like, yeah, Disney Plus is a huge thing, but there's still many people that catch up on these movies. I know people that wait to the next movie, be like, oh, I'm going to binge a bunch, or, maybe they got busy lives. I know it's a pandemic, but people still have stuff going on, but good kind of showing everybody where we are and stuff like that. Some happy times, some not so happy times.
and I still talk to people who haven't seen Falcon Winter Soldier yet. They have every intention. They've told me several times, I'm doing it, but I haven't done it yet. And I'm like, all right, well, I won't talk to you about it then.
Yeah, me too. And I know people that like right before Endgame, were missing a few Marvel movies, and then right when that was coming, okay, now is my time to watch them. I think Black Widow will do that a lot, not because they're connected, but just because people kind of get that bug, or even after the theater where they watch Black Widow and like, let's say they want more Marvel now, but maybe they don't want to pay the premium for Black Widow. It's like, well, you got Falcon right there, you got Wanda right there, so we got just big moments from Endgame and Infinity War, kind of the last, like, so we had Spider-Man Far From Home, but that was such a monumentous thing. Cap on the
Mary
moon there.
Poppins.
Yeah. And this was great. This, if you want to talk about chills, seeing this again, seeing the on your left scene in Portals in the theater, we can all like that teleported us all back to the first time we saw it.
Is this technically bootleg footage in an official Marvel promo, or is this one that they shot themselves?
I think it's the Russo. I remember the Russos after opening weekend or 2 weekends, they posted something. One of the brothers posted something. They said they hid in the theater and just wanted to sit there. So I bet it's from their phone, but it would be kind of funny if they're just like, go to YouTube and pay off some guy $50 so we can use it.
Because there's 2 or 3 of those running around that you see pop up every so often.
Oh yeah. So Black Widow.
We get a couple of new sequences of Black Widow.
Yep. Excited. White suit looks great as always.
Oh yeah. Excited
to see if Madam Hydra maybe makes an appearance now. We've heard rumors and whatnot now since that happened.
Contessa.
Yeah.
So Val, don't call her Val.
Yeah.
Just think it.
And then we got Shang-Chi and just a couple new shots in here that weren't in the trailer also.
Joe says it's interesting none of the TV shows were shown. I think that was just for the fact that they want to go to, these are the movies.
All movie. Back. Everything in this is a movie.
All right, so we've got kind of our group shot at this point.
Do you want to talk about the camera guy? That was a whole thing on Twitter this week.
Oh God, go for it.
Well, no, because apparently, like, I've not read Eternals, but like everyone's like, look, how could they let a cameraman in the shot in this trailer? And then someone had to point out, like, well, no, apparently, and like I said, I've not read Eternals, so I don't know this, but lots of people backed up that in runs of comics they've had a cameraman follow them around and whatnot. So all these people are trying to dunk on this clip, but then people are like, no, like that happens in the comic books. And like, I agree, people make mistakes. We had a Starbucks coffee cup in Game of Thrones, but if it would have been the trailer, I think this is a fine combed trailer. So I don't think it would have happened there. And that's interesting. I will read more Eternals once we get closer, but I never knew that fact. So
I've only read a little Eternals and I haven't read that. I mean, to be fair, nobody's read that much Eternals.
You want to pause right there, Chris? Can you go back to the little bit when they're standing behind that the big structure and whatnot? It's funny because like on Twitter too, there are lots of people were showing clips of the, this is how it's going, how it started. There was pictures of this set recently circling around Twitter again, where they did build all this. This was, and obviously that's been a big thing the past 2 weeks of Chloe Zhao. She just won Best Director, so congrats to her. But it's been a big thing as far as, how she's using the camera, physical set, stuff like that. And it all looks great. It's not enough for me to get like uber excited, but I was happy to see anything.
And definitely it's hard to see, but they all are in their costumes. Now the question of this is going to be an interesting movie of how much in the past in the present, because these quote unquote humans, these Eternals are, immortal. So we're gonna see exactly how far back they go.
You go back one more frame to somebody, I can't remember who pointed out, maybe someone I follow, but it is just like, it hasn't actually dawned on me that Angelina Jolie is in this. Like, I know she's in it, but the fact that, she is at one time, you could argue, was one of the biggest, if not the biggest movie star in the world, especially kind of mid 2000s. And seeing this, her with a sword, her with like by a Marvel logo and whatnot, it's like, yeah, we're getting Angelina Jolie in a Marvel film, and obviously a great actress, Academy Award winner. So I'm very interested to see what she can bring to the table. But yeah, cool shot.
Yeah, at some point we'll stop being surprised at all these huge stars that are like, yeah, I'll be a part of that. Someday we'll stop being surprised by it. But for right now, no, it's still like she's a mega star, and having her join the MCU is definitely a good get for that one.
I'm still not over Christian Bale.
Everyone see Mephisto right here. All over the place.
No.
Mephisto. There.
Or
there.
Wanda.
Wanda, yeah.
Reading the Dark
There's
Hold.
the Darkhold. There's the Red Skull.
Could be Mephisto and Wanda. Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, we got the Dark Strange logo and Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie, when Spider-Man was coming, I was
my gosh.
excited. So yeah, pause on that.
Oh my gosh, that was what a title. This is gonna be I think we've all said it at some point or another. This is gonna be a very, very tough movie to watch.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead, Brent.
I was just gonna say, this is the absolute perfect title. Like, I saw some people trying to say, oh, they retitled it. I'm like, well, they never gave us the title. In fact, they gave us a release date and didn't give us. They're like, we're not gonna give you the title yet. Now it comes out and it's Wakanda Forever, and that I could not ask for a more perfect title than that. That might be the absolute best titled movie in this entire bunch.
Yeah, I agree.
So I got three things about this title. Of one, yeah, I agree with you both. Perfect title. I think it's gonna kind of honor Chadwick Boseman, but I also think for two reason, Wakanda Forever being perfect is because they've kind of stressed that this will deal with some of his loss, but also it's gonna be about Wakanda and all the people. And I feel like this is the first Black Panther was an ensemble, but clearly Chadwick was still the lead, right? Where I feel like this is gonna be very much an ensemble of all the characters, almost like people might hate me saying this, but almost like a Fast and Furious. Yes, Vin Diesel is the main character, but it's like all these people working together, big set pieces, some character moments. And I think that's what's going to happen here. So I think that's a great title. I like everything. Lupita Nyong'o had some really good comments. So I think they are going to deal with his passing head on, and it's going to be a very emotional movie. Now, this is for fun. So this is 3. I'm going to throw it out. But do you people think that people saw the title and they saw like the silverness of it, and already people are like, well, that sure looks like Dr. Doom's metal, and like we've talked about that before? Do you give that any credence to that theory as far as that's why the title looks kind of metal like, or you think, oh no, that's just a cool aesthetic?
I think it's a cool aesthetic.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible that Dr. Doom is in this movie, right? Like everybody thinks that is possible. That's on the table.
Yeah.
But I can't go with that one. That's like, I mean, go back to WandaVision. I'm willing to stretch pretty far and say that like that flyer or whatever could have been Mephisto, but I don't know about this one.
Well, and the only thing with the title, like I agree with you, they never gave it a title, so it wasn't a change. But they specifically, when we talk about the Doom rumors a long time ago, Chris said, like for me at least, I was like, they specifically didn't give that title for a reason. Now he was still writing the script, so that could be it. But I did think that it was maybe going to say, like, I don't think it would have been Doom Wars or something, but maybe something that would tip its hat off to it. So I don't know if there was ever a title change. I think there's something else. Clay says it looks like vibranium. You're 100% right. It could just be vibranium,
just a little bit.
Maybe that's what Dr. Doom's after, But it's know what I love about seeing new scenes, new content, new posters, new title cards is because that stuff again. We get the why is this metal? And we're in that. We're getting back to the regular, having fun and getting excited for things. So.
Well, also, the rumors that we last year started coming out with, I think, Fandom Wire talking about like Namor is going to be the antagonist for this one. So we'll see. And I think, Michael B. Jordan came out this week and saying that he would be interested in coming back if it was right. Well, what else is he going to say? No, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of thought Wakanda might be the name of one of the Disney Plus shows that we know are going to be set in Wakanda. So I wonder if this takes that off the table, which fine, this is a better title. But I don't know.
I wouldn't say it takes it off the table. I think this could be things that we know Ryan Coogler is developing this stuff. So maybe, obviously, I would say in this movie, he may be laying some hints about what the first show from the Wakanda series are going to be.
I guess we have the Winter Soldier. So,
yep. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Wakandan show is going to be called The Wakandans, just like a title we have coming up in a little bit here of just taking something and adding an S to it. I don't know if that's next or not, but yes, it is. So I'm going to start with this one because this is a purely I got to shout out Hansi and some of my other Geekverse followers because we have a Discord. Go check that out. Brett's in that. Fanboy Claims of that. And
apparently I'm not, but that's
you were invited, but you never joined. I'll drop you the link. But we'll
agree to disagree on that one.
I have tweet proof. The same day Clay and Brent joined, you could have joined.
Okay.
Either ways. So
it probably was. It probably was one of those moments where like 20,000 people responded with some kind of like disagreement over DC or Marvel. So
100%.
That would never happen.
No, not on the internet. But so I've said this before, and it's fine. We're going to talk about later in Comic Book Club. But for me, a thing that I've just never just straight up liked is the Sinister Six. I've said this before. I just don't like Spider-Man versus six villains. I think it devalues them. I think it makes them a little less stronger. A thing that I've never liked in general, I just never liked that her name is Captain Marvel. I just don't like it. I don't want there to be a Captain Star Wars. I don't want there to be a Captain DC. If that is, then I guess I should call myself Captain Geek first or something like that. I just never liked the name, but I got through with it. I'm like, okay, that's where we're going. So when I saw this title, I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, we're just calling it The Marvels now. Like, to me, it sounds like a band.
Oh, yes.
I get the idea of it. I think it's great. This is the official confirmation. They had already said this, but this is the full-on Front Street. Monica's in it. Carol's in it. Kamal's in it. That's great. I think it's going to be great. That's this mini Avengers sort of team up. I just hate strong word, but like I just like this more than the home Spider-Man titles. And my second thing is just from a pure box office, I don't worry about anything with Marvel and Disney. They're fine, they got it. But I am curious that they didn't do like even Captain Marvel 2 or Captain Marvel the Marvels. Like Captain Marvel was a $1 billion film, and the fact that they're kind of not abandoning the title but just kind of pushing it off, I would understand if that was a movie that did lesser than, but this is one of their biggest movies. It's the biggest female like grosser of all time for superheroes. So the fact that Captain Marvel is not on the title is a little strange to me, but maybe she gets another solo movie after this, and that's when we get back to that. But yeah, so I'm not on the whole, or at least first impressions, a fan of this, but I like the idea, and I think November is a great slot.
I would love to know if Brie Larson had something to do with this. When she took a lot of heat when the first Captain Marvel press tour was going on because she wanted the press corps to be more inclusive. She did not want it to just be a bunch of white men. She took so much heat for that. She was all about raising inclusivity, not excluding anybody, but including more people. More seats at the table is literally what she said. And I look at this and I see Monica Rambeau's symbol in there and Kamala Khan's symbol in there, and they're elevated to the same status as hers. Like this is kind of like Ant-Man and the Wasp when it wasn't Ant-Man 2. It was we're elevating the Wasp's status as well. She is a title character. So I have the total opposite reaction. I love this title because I see this as I still think Carol is probably going to be like our lead.
Oh yeah.
But I think this means Monica and Kamala are probably going to have bigger roles than I initially anticipated. And I love it. And I look forward to seeing the three of them, in costume right before that third act battle that is coming. And just the representation that will be on screen when that happens is absolutely phenomenal. And I love that it's reflected in the title.
Yeah. On the game, it said stupidly adds fuel to the rumor that Larson is being sidelined. Yeah, I don't think that is true necessarily.
I wanted to call out before you go to the next one. Yeah, that to me is the same like bottom dwellers of the internet that every week run with the Kathy Kennedy is about to lose her job when she's like signing new contracts, creating these great shows and $1 billion. And I've not agreed with every decision. They killed my boy Kylo Ren. That is a sin. Those people wronged me. But She's a very smart businesswoman.
That's one of many sins.
Oh, that's the biggest for Star Wars. No, Chris, that is the biggest sin. The fact that they had Rey and Kylo kiss and then they took them away from him.
It was a kiss. What was it? Of gratitude.
Don't do it. It's not of gratitude. It's of love. There was tongue. That's
it's
of love.
Star Wars Day. None of that. It's Star Wars Day.
Happy May the 4th, everybody. May the 4th be with you. But the thing is,
check out Star Wars Alliance. They came on early today.
There's never been any semblance of any person of merit that's ever reported, gee, Brie Larson's having some trouble with No, it's just been people trying to stir stuff because they need clicks or they're bored. So those rumors of being sidelined stuff, if anyone believes those, throw them out the window. Like it's one of those that just I hate when I see it, because it's just like I would understand if even there was a sniff of Deadline being like, hey, they had some troubles. None of that. So it's not like she's Edward Norton who's working her way out. She's not being sidelined. She's going to be a main player. I still think she'll be a member of the actual Avengers when we get to that Avengers team up film. She's a part of one of the biggest films of Marvel. So silly rumors.
K2Cav says Fury talks about the Marvels when they were doing dishes, assuming they took it from the scene.
Great call out.
Yes, definitely. Sawbone says Captain in the Marvels sounds like a name of the 70s punk band. So
we should start calling ourselves we need a 3-person name. They got the Marvels. We got to come up with something. Next time we're all hosting together, we need a Trinity name,
No, it can't be the Trinity.
That's why I said a Trinity name.
We can't steal from DC. Remember, according to you, DC seems to just steal from Marvel all the time. So,
oh yeah, that's their whole career. They've done nothing original. Calm down.
I will be the first one to say everyone steals from everyone and borrows it.
No, Kevin Feige's never done anything. No. He went back in time and made Superman, the Richard Donner cut. He's like, you should do this, and that's what happened. I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. Cue the Jim Carrey of oh boy, here we go.
Oh geez. Man, you really chose violence today.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm back once a month. I gotta make an impact.
So what I've noticed from many of almost I dare to say almost every one of these films in phase 4, almost legacy. Legacy. This is what I think this phase it has been a focus. It is going to be the focus of this phase is legacy, and the fact that Captain Marvel has, her legacy with Monica, with her mom being Photon. This is Spectrum's symbol, so she will be probably going by the call sign Spectrum. We know Miss Marvel, why, Kamala Khan, looks up to Captain Marvel. So what is her legacy of inspiring and other people taking the idea? Hopefully we get to see, the quote unquote problem Monica has when, we heard, Captain Marvel's name mentioned at that point. Hopefully we get to the bottom of that. And it's hopefully not, well, you never came back or you never visited me. I hope it's a little bit deeper than that.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, that's done.
I was gonna say, and I am very interested because we've got we've seen casting, but no big rumors. The fact that if you have Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel, I am very intrigued who the villain of this is going to be, because I think they're going to need somebody that packs a pretty good punch here. If you're not taking on just Captain Marvel, you're taking on the other two as well, whether it is a whole, a planet, a squad, a big villain. You're going to need someone with a lot of power. So I'm very intrigued on who or the group that we get. And obviously, like I said, I think didn't we hear rumors of a while back ago? I can't remember.
There's been a casting, I think, or at least a very high rumored casting of someone being an antagonist, but not the main villain.
Yeah. So I'm very interested to see who that person's going to be, because I feel like I said, they got to be pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All in the game. Photon over Spectrum. Surely the reason it's not right now in comics, she is going by Spectrum, and that symbol is Spectrum's costume. I'm not saying they can't meld the two into a Photon, but she could. Again, they can go both ways in the sense of her mom. She wants to honor her mom and go with Photon, or she wants to not necessarily be in her mom's shadow and take it to another level and be her own person and not always be, Rambo's daughter, So. But again, I'll be fine with Photon. I'm just saying like what I'm seeing right now. So
yeah.
But all right, we've got a little bit more left. We can talk a little bit more of their things. There we go. Quantumania.
Looking great. Like the colors. Volume 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Great. And then something missing on that one. Mr. Fantastic Four does not have a date.
Phase 4. No, it's Phase 4.
Yes. So see you at the movie. So we had talked about that in our group chat. Where are you, Brent? Because I know where Chris is. I know where I am. Where are you on Fantastic Four falling? Because people have kind of we have July, November, and then February as like dates that obviously are Marvel films, but don't have anything specific on them. Where do you think Fantastic Four is landing?
Is that February? Is that 2024?
Yes, right. I think so.
Well, the two open dates right now are July 28th. 2023 and November 3rd, 2023.
Right.
Those are the two current open dates for that.
Right. I'm just
Disney
assuming with February. Yeah, that was my bet. Yeah, because they've done it before February, March. But I assume if things go right, they will have a February, March movie, you would think, right? Because they've done that with Captain Marvel. They did with Black Panther. So I think we'll get one too in 2024, I imagine.
Yes. I think this is July. This has summer blockbuster written all over it to me. And it's not, I mean, May of that year, Guardians 3, May is that's the tentpole slot. That's their big one. If you go back and look historically, their May release is their biggest one of the year. Debatable this year, but this year everything is different the way they've done it. But in general, typically that's their big time slot. I think July, and I think this is an excellent ending to Phase 4. Mm-hmm. We don't technically know, but I think it is. I mean, if you look at the sheer volume of movies that's here, I mean, from July 9th, 2021 with Black Widow all the way through July 8th, 2022, there's 7 movies there, which is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. 7 movies in one calendar year, not even counting the Disney Plus stuff. And so I'm like, this has got to be it for the phase. I really think this is it. And I know some people might think Fantastic Four isn't a big enough property or whatever to end the phase, but I would argue it makes total sense for this to do so.
It is Marvel's first family. It is the property that they had, the nut that no one has been able to effectively crack except for The Incredibles. This is one that I am not worried about the MCU getting the X-Men right. I'm not worried about the MCU getting the Fantastic Four right. But I think this is, again, what did I say before? This is about legacy. And what is the biggest legacy property that Marvel needs to get right at this point is Fantastic Four, because no one's been able to do it yet.
See, and I agree with you guys about being a perfect end of Phase 4, and that's why I'm sticking in the camp. I'm sticking my guns. I think it's going to be the November movie. I think my kind of headcanon right now is July, because no matter what, we have 2 dates. So that we're assuming one of those dates is a movie we don't know about yet. And the 2 movies we keep going back and forth is when we get Blade and when we get Deadpool 3. The reason I have it there is because I think, one, ending Phase 4 with the Fantastic Four is very fitting. Phase 4, Fantastic Four, it's symmetry, right? I think that's one play. I also think Deadpool works better in the summer. It did release the first one in February, but still that had the Valentine's kind of fun marketing and whatnot. I just feel that works better in July than it would in November. And I feel like with Blade's a prime February month, because lots of horror movies nowadays the past 5 years have been coming out in January, February, and also Black History Month, which is shouldn't be a thing we just celebrate 1 month, but studios and companies do take that into account. And look at Black Panther. They use that tremendously in the marketing. Yes. And Blade, we already have a black screenwriter, Austin Mahershala. I think we all can assume that they've kind of said that they're going to be getting a black director, whether it's male, female, or whatever sexual orientation. So that's my headcanon. I think Deadpool or some other movie will be in July. Fantastic Four ends Phase 4, and then what a kickoff to Phase 5 with Blade being like, I don't think it's going to be rated R, but it's going to be a lot different. It's going to be the most supernatural. I know Doctor Strange there, but that's a different type of supernatural. We're chopping off vampires' heads. So I think that's a huge start to Phase 5. So I'm going to stick with that till I hear otherwise. I could very well be wrong. I could see it being a big summer movie, 100%, but I'm going to say it ends Phase 4. So I'm going with November. Hashtag Travis told you if I'm right.
Like Joe, allegedly the Guardians of the Galaxy title cards gave away who died in the movie. This one apparently means Rocket is dying, and says not his opinion. Someone told him that. Let's see. I saw someone speculate Drax dying as well. That's why they went with a safer pair of John Watson's director. So yeah. So Fantastic Four is going to be, I don't know if he's writing. they haven't officially named him as director. He's just writing right now.
They did.
I thought they did name him as director.
I thought they did too, but I just read something the other day that said that. That's why I got confused. I said I thought he was director, but I just saw him.
I could have sworn that's what Feige said.
I thought so too. So, and it wasn't necessarily one of these random fake blogs at that point. It was, But yes, Brent, check me on that because so
far everything I'm finding says he is. Yeah. Good. Confirmed as director.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted, but because they gave me positive. Since when did that change?
They must not like Spider-Man 3. You were directing, but we've changed our mind.
Travis, you might be right because there's one thing I didn't take into account. They have never, and granted, they could always change it, but so far to date, they've never had a phase end and the next phase begin within the same calendar year. Mm-hmm. It's always been the next calendar year that the next phase began. I just went back and double checked that. And, I know some people were like, why are they starting with this brand new property? Why it's not where's the Avengers team up and stuff? It's like, people tend to forget that the Avengers team up has only been the phase ending movie one time.
Yeah.
Phase 2 ended with Ant-Man. Phase 3 ended with Spider-Man. And so phase 4 ending with Fantastic Four. So I'm gonna switch and I'm gonna go with Travis told you and say that November is going to be the date for that. So maybe they'll slide us in some Deadpool or something in July. Yeah, that would work.
And I wasn't crap, what was I gonna say? That's what I was gonna say is someone had a good thread as far as we're not getting an Avengers movie, but look, we have Thor Love and Thunder, you have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, you have the Marvels, so you have kind of what we've talked about before, these mini crossover events that aren't the whole enchilada, but there's some really good tacos. There's your food reference, kids. And the thing is that I've said this before, I feel like you got to wait it for Avengers. Endgame was so big. I feel like if you do another Avengers right away, it might just feel trivial. It'll feel almost small in comparison as far as like, of course, fighting Loki and the aliens, Chitauri was a big thing in Avengers, but that doesn't compare to what happened with Thanos. And I think if you come right at the gate, like here they are on another venture, I think, I'm not saying it has to be a level then as Thanos. I think you just got to get people waiting to be like, okay, I really want to see Avengers. You want to crave it. Now, my only thing is, I think in all those reports, we didn't get a date. Is there any chance that July or November could be Captain America 4? Because there's a new player up to bat that we don't have a date for. That could be phase 5. I think phase 5, what a stellar kickoff. If you went from Blade in February, March, and then in May, Captain America 4, that'd be such a 1-2 punch. But
remember, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Winter Soldier didn't start it. What Thor: The Dark World, I think, came before Winter Soldier, correct?
For which and when
Iron Man 3 started phase 2.
Phase 2. Okay, then
Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Captain America, Winter Soldier. Yeah, it would be. I don't see Captain America 4 in this phase.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think they're gonna spend some time developing. I don't think that's gonna be the next time we see Sam, but. That will be a phase 5 movie.
Yeah, Lennox W brings up the next Avengers would mean more if they built up to by building new Avengers. I agree 100%. And Fanboy Clay says a similar thing. Avengers come out so soon, people might say Endgame was better. Same thing there. It's just like the height of it. And that's what I was going to ask you guys too. Like we talked about Deadpool and Blade. Is for that secret movie, is there any other movie that we think we haven't heard that could be in that slot? Because I agree with you, Chris, that Captain Marvel, I think like I said, I think Blade and Captain America for phase 5, like kicking it off would be great. But I don't think there's any rumored movies, even though, what was it, Nate Moore a few weeks ago in an interview said like, I'm surprised the amount of movies they still actually haven't announced. So there could be just something sitting in the deck that we have no idea about that next week it comes out like, here you go, here's Wolverine. Like that's not Travis told you, that's not happening. But I'm just saying, what if they're holding on that next Disney investors call of like we're doing that Wolverine anthology show or movie, whatever.
As I've said before, phase 5 is going to be the mutants.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they're bringing in X-Men.
I could see the end of phase 5 being when we get the Avengers back. Maybe that's our Avengers versus X-Men time frame. Yeah. Because if you look at this, like let's say November 2023 really is the end of phase 4. Probably 2024 is not going to be an Avengers movie that year because we would know about it. Right, yeah. We would find out about it. So it's probably going to be 2025. That seems like a pretty good time to jump back to that. Spend 2024 bringing in the mutants. Assuming the mutants, I still think they're going to get mentioned in Eternals, but bring in the mutants, start working them in, and That is, you asked if there's any other movies. I would like to put another Spider-Man movie on the table. Now, the deal does not go that far. This is the last, No Way Home is the last Spider-Man solo movie on the current deal. But they had one in 2017, they had one in 2019, and now they're coming out with one this year. They haven't been wanting to have that big a gap. Sony is not wanting that big a gap between Spider-Man movies. It would not surprise me. And they, in phase 3, they had 2 Spider-Man movies. They had 2 Ant-Man movies in phase, I guess Ant-Man was the end of phase 2, but it's like they could do 2 Spider-Man movies because they've done it before in the same phase.
Yeah,
I could definitely see them doing one early. Like that could be the next May movie, for example. Well, no, actually, I don't think they would do the May movie for that because assuming the deal didn't change, Marvel would only get 25% of their box office. I don't see them doing that with their May release, but
no. Well, in July, isn't that the time where both Spider-Man have come out, right? July?
Yes.
Yeah, so I didn't even think about that. That's a good shot, and you're right with the 2-year increment. So,
and actually, I think this one was originally July too, before all the pushbacks.
Yeah.
So I would have to confirm that, but
you heard it first.
Was like way back when. Yeah,
we're gonna get Spider-Man versus Morbius versus Venom. July 2023.
Morbius would be so into that.
Oh yeah,
Morbius is going to save the MCU.
Oh yeah, he's pitching every day why he should lead the Avengers. It's a big deal for Jared Leto, so that's good.
Yeah. So, but hey, I mean, again, this was a way to. I mean, this was basically Marvel saying, "Hey, like you said, there was nothing about, not even clips of WandaVision." Any Disney Plus streaming show in this, because again, this what people saying, oh, they don't care. No, this was focused on the movies. Like you said, this is now the third. The movies are open. We had Matthew McConaughey starting that one. Then you had Vin Diesel doing his, I think, at the Oscars, and then now this one. I mean, so this is like again the third thing. Like this is Marvel basically saying, people can say it all they want and don't like it at that point. This is Marvel saying, we've got a slate. We're putting it out there. This is the plan going out there. And people say, oh, they're throwing shade at DC. I said, you can think that, but this is what they do. This is how they've been since the beginning at that
point. They've been doing this for 13 years, and that's the thing where, like, of course, I always have some fun here. I like to poke a lot of bears, but at the end of the day, I think that maybe sometimes some people at DC might be like, we want to do that. But I think with Marvel, I don't think even if they're doing something, it's not like, well, we're doing this to take a shot at DC. Yeah, no. I don't think they care. And not in the sense of like, they don't care about DC, just in the fact that they're doing what they want to do. Like they're on a roadmap. Here's the best way I can put this. If DC didn't exist at all, or let's say they just stopped making DC movies, this would still be the plan right now. Let's say if Warner Brothers said, you know what, we're going to take a 10-year break, we're shelving Warner Brothers or DC, we don't want to do that anymore, they'd still be doing this. So I think it's great because it's getting people excited. And Clay brought up earlier in the chat about like how he feels any superhero fatigue would be gone. One, I don't think superhero fatigue was that big. And two, 1000%, because that has been replaced with nostalgia and like, being gone makes the heart grow fonder. And that's where people, if they were like, oh, there's so many superhero movies now, people want that, like an active, like they want that end game. They want to be back in the theater seeing stuff. And Chris, your point, that's great with the TV shows. Like, look at when we had the 1-2 punch of D23 and Comic-Con, they had held back like Moon Knight, She-Hulk. They're sometimes just announcing these shows on the dime. Like, and even like Disney did this with last year with Star Wars, right? Where they announced like 5 shows, just like, here, we're doing all these. So it's like, we don't even know what Disney Plus has as well. So it's like on top of that, they're just a well-oiled machine right now. And I'm excited for all of it. I'm always excited for MCU stuff, but it's just great to see all these things happening.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Brent, before we take our first ad break?
I hadn't heard that people think that this announcement was a shot at DC. I feel like
I've seen some, not a lot, but I've seen some.
I mean, I've definitely seen some comments about this announcement from your DC hardcores, but not necessarily from that perspective. More of like, why can't we do this? Like they've got this like wire, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I just know they're coming out with the freaking Eternals. The Eternals, right? Comic book fans don't know who the Eternals are, and it's like if they were only doing this stuff because of DC. I'm just going to say this: Eternals isn't who you go to bat with if you're taking on Superman and Batman. If that's your concern, you're going to get a little bit bigger guns than Eternals. Like
new guy. I mean, again, Eternals is Kirby, but this is Kirby even going deeper than New Gods Kirby. This is the whole interesting out there Kirby, So It's
The
gonna be
only thing
interesting.
I was just going to shout out Lanix's question because I'm sure like our next talk will be someone else when he said, will the Avengers incorporate Fantastic Four and X-Men? I don't think initially like Avengers 5, if it's called the new Avengers, the new team, I don't think so. No, incorporating the fact of mentioning them or talk about them, sure. But I think when we get our first new Avengers movie, it will be, here's our new core team. We want to establish, let's say Sam, Carol. So like, we want to get their chemistry together and then start mixing and matching. I think you could do Avengers versus X-Men at some point, but I don't think that should be the first film of this new Avengers squad. So I think they'll be around, but I don't think you will get them heavily in like how we got Guardians and Infinity War and stuff like that.
Tim Rooney says, prior to the pandemic, I couldn't care less about WandaVision, but time away from the theaters made me cheer as soon as I saw the Mover logo back in January. I think
shame on you. Elizabeth Olsen is a treasure, Tim Rooney.
Trust me, he loves her. It's okay.
Yeah, that's what the same thing. He wasn't insulting her. It was just, but again, it was just one of those things that, time away and just seeing a superhero film, anything superhero related adjacent, is something that we know it's a popcorn movie, but it's going to be interesting. We'll get into more Eternals later. Chloe winning the Oscar brings some new dynamic at that point. Indie filmmakers having even more impact on the MCU. It's going to be a great time, and I'm excited. So,
and all in the game, I'm not going to say your comment because people will throw me over the coals. But DC has but Chris sure throws it up. DC can't do a great thing with their A-listers. So there you go.
Flip that out.
I will say this, that I love all this stuff, but man, I am looking very forward to the Batman. So like, let's
be fair. Let's be fair. WB can't get it together. Let's be fair.
DC has a ground crumbling beneath them, but I tell you what, come next March when the Batman comes out, you're going to see tons of excitement. So yes, as Harvey Dent once said, fellow DC fans, it's always darkest before the dawn. And I can't promise you the dawn is coming, but it will one day.
Oh, no, never mind. Take us to an ad.
All right, now we're just getting too feisty and we're taking the bait. Stop taking the bait. All right.
Threw the comment. I was going to address it, but you're like, boom, you put it right in my face.
Putting it out there. All right, listeners. These ads are our first ad break. So these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They could be a bit loud. So I will give you that 3 count in order to turn down that volume so you don't blow out those eardrums. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So, all right. So we got a couple of news items. This one kind of came out a little, kind of stuck in the radar, but I think it's got some interesting ideas associated with it. So we've got the Kevin Feige kind of spilled a little tea. WandaVision original role, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange has been revealed. So apparently he was originally slated to have a little bit of cameo. So in an interview with Rolling Stone, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige commented about the absence of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange in WandaVision. He confirmed that a deal was even finalized between Cumberbatch and Marvel to appear in the season finale's episodes. And they didn't say series, they had seasons, and shared a clear reason why Stephen Strange never made the cut. Feige said, some people might say, oh, it would have been so cool to have Doctor Strange, but it would have taken away from Wanda. We didn't want to end the show being commoditized to go to the next movie and say, here's a white guy. Let me show you how the power works. The Marvel producer went on to reveal that the commercials, which appeared in episodes 1 through 3 and 5 through 7, were originally intended to be a subtle messages sent to Wanda by Dr. Stephen Strange, who would have been attempting to get through to the Scarlet Witch from outside of her alternate reality madness. Feige also shared that the revision of WandaVision's finale without Doctor Strange also meant a rewrite of parts of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which will see Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda in a leading role. The rewrites were described, according to Feige, as a wonderful combination of very dedicated coordination and chaos. Chaos magic, he calls it.
Yeah, he chose some interesting words there. I know the internet had some fun with the white guy power, but you know what? I think he's just having some fun. I think that's the problem with text, that you can't, and everyone's, well, not everyone, just people that I question their morals. Like, why is he so? Just calm down. Just go touch some grass, as people say. But
have some dip.
I agree with him as far as you didn't want Doctor Strange to come in and save the day or do the here's how you do everything and take away from her adventure. I just wish there is actually like a merging of the ideas where we didn't get that he comes in to save the day, he interacts with Wanda. But I would have liked the idea, even if he was like on an adventure somewhere and he sensed that this was going on or he got word of it. So he's kind of trying to do both things. So that's why he can't go there, because maybe he's dealing with something, but he's still trying to get through with her. I just thought that would have been such a cool like end credit if like we get the full reveal of what those commercials were and it was Strange all along behind them, you know. So I think at the end of the day, I get why they didn't do it, but I wish they still kept that kernel of the idea that he was behind the commercials, because they would have worked too, like showing her things of her life and trying to remind her. So I wish there was a mix of it, but I understand why they didn't do it.
You know, there still could be. We still could find out. He said they had to rewrite part of Strange too. We could. I mean, nothing says like 100% of the movie takes place after this. We could get effectively a flashback to Strange being aware of Westview and something keeping him away, but him trying, like you said, him trying to reach out even from afar through the astral plane or whatever, and maybe whatever's keeping him at bay, keeping him away from it all, it was weakening him to a point where he couldn't break through her power. Couldn't get through to her. And so I'm overall, I'm with you. It would have been awesome. I would have been super excited to see him. Don't get me wrong. But I think, especially in hindsight, seeing how it played out, just the way they did it, this was a story about Wanda and her grief. To me, there's really not room for Doctor Strange in that story.
Yeah, it was, you know, we've kind of those were some of our theories that could this be someone trying to get through to Wanda and tap into her past. But I like the way it ended. It would have, you know, we were wondering, we already knew she was in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, so hinting towards it wasn't necessary to have him appear. It would have been cool, but I'm fine with him not being in it. What I do want the answer to is, why didn't you do anything? You know, if they're going to write that out, I think we do need an answer to that particular thing. He is not, quote unquote, the Sorcerer Supreme. He does not have that title yet.
Thank you.
He does not have that title yet. I do want to know who does have that title, number one.
Nobody.
She's dead. She's dead. I just don't know if it's one of those things that's passed down to someone else. But yeah, he is not the Sorcerer Supreme yet. We maybe had that off camera like anointing at that point, but not right now. But what was going on that he couldn't? Did he try and he couldn't get through? Are they have to acknowledge it. They have to say something, I think. Oh, I take it back. We want them to. I said this to Joe. We want them to, but they don't have to.
I think they will, though. I actually think whoever the main antagonist is in Doctor Strange 2 will have a little bit to do with why he was away, and that's they can kind of tie it all together, that maybe he's trying to find something out about this person. Maybe he's dealing with Baron Mordo, who was probably, we don't know if he got snapped, right? So he could have been on a tear. If Doctor Strange was gone for 5 years and Baron was around, who clearly was not happy with sorcerers, like, he probably did a lot of damage. So I honestly think even, and some people might not like this because there's at times I don't like it, it might be, hey, I was here, and then that's it. It's one line of him, and maybe has nothing to do with the main plot, but at least us geeks will go, oh, well, they answered that question for us. So I think you'll get something. I really do.
Mm-hmm. So, any more on this topic, gentlemen?
No, sir.
All right, so we will move on to, we got some new property information with Marvel's Ironheart. The Disney Plus series now has found their head writer. According to Variety, Ironheart series has tapped. Let me zoom into my. There we go. Much better view. All right, so Ironheart has tapped Shanaka Hodge. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. To serve as head writer of the show. Hodge is a screenwriter, poet, playwright, and educator. Her past television writing credits include the Apple reboot of Amazing Stories, as well as the TNT adaptation of Snowpiercer. She has published 2 books of poetry to date, For Girls with Hips, collected poems and writings, and Dated Immenses, while her plays include Chasing Shirley, I'm going to totally butcher that, and Mirrors in Every Corner. She is also the founding member of the hip-hop collective The Get Back, along with Diggs and others. So definitely got the writing chops and has a good background at that point. So For those that have forgotten, we do have our Ironheart will star Dominic Thorne as Marvel's character Riri Williams, a genius inventor and creator of the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man. The show was first announced at the Disney's Investors Call last year in December.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is I don't know much about the writer. Obviously, good credentials as far as lots she's done, and nothing that's been on the radar. The good thing is if I don't know a writer and I don't see anything that's a red flag, like, oh no, wrote Jonah Hex, like that's what I'm looking for if I don't know the writer. And I did not mean to pick Jonah Hex. Oh no, Howard the Duck. I didn't even mean to. I just watched a trivia show and they talked about
anything that we're totally gonna get lit up by DCA next week.
And we're gonna deserve it.
Yes, but actually Travis is gonna deserve it, but
I'll be gone. That's why I left. But no, or Howard the Duck. If they would wrote Howard the Duck, I go, oh my goodness, we're in big trouble now. So I like that, and I think the thing I just take from this is that the series is moving forward. I bet it won't be too much longer. Like by the end of the year, we're definitely probably going to be shooting or close to pre-production or production. So I think we'll probably get it next year. I think just by the sounds of everything, but it just feels like when we hear news of these Disney Plus shows starting to move, they move quick, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I think next year looks to be She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and probably this show.
Hawkeye too.
Hawkeye's this year.
Hawkeye's this year.
Hawkeye's this year?
Yeah, Hawkeye's going to end the year.
I guess we are in 2021, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, we have been for a couple days now,
Yeah, so we got Loki and then Hawkeye. Is there anything? I know we got What If. Is there anything else this year? I think Miss Marvel. Missing?
Yeah, Miss Marvel. Yeah, should be this year.
Lots of good stuff coming.
So if we've got the Marvels in 2022 November, Secret Invasion will also be next year. So Secret Invasion has to be next year because they said that is a direct lead into the Marvels. So
All in the Game says, I hope 6 episodes instead of 8 doesn't become being an issue. 8 seems to be a sweet spot for a lot of these high budget streaming shows, tell a full story. I disagree because Watchmen was not 8. Here you go. Here's some praise. I think Watchmen X the Daredevil, greatest superhero show of all time. So that's the thing where I think it all depends on the story. I've seen shows like Dexter be 12 episodes and be a phenomenal season. Then I've seen the next season feel like dog crap. So I honestly don't think, I think lots of stuff Falcon Winter Soldier, some people have problems with some of the finale stuff. I think that's because of real world COVID stuff that they had to rush some things or change some things up. But I don't think it has to be 6 or 8, and I get the point, but I think it all depends on what they do with it. I think they should be able to say, okay, you have 6 episodes, create a great story with these 6 episodes,
I don't know anything about this writer, but I'm just gonna have to trust basically in Marvel Studios Parliament that is behind all this, not just Feige, but the people who work with him directly and all this stuff. Frankly, I've never heard of her. I haven't seen anything she's worked on. But like you said, there's no red flags here either. So, there's no Howard the Duck, as you put it.
Yep.
It's almost like everyone's kind of waiting us. Oh, when's Marvel going to screw up? It's just, I don't think that. I just think that could it happen? Sure. I'm not going to say Marvel's infallible and not going to have a moment like that. But it's just like, I don't wish that would happen because, again, Marvel doing well helps DC. DC doing well helps Marvel. It keeps this alive. They keep challenging each other, borrowing from each other, trying to do something. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it and spin it this way. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, yeah, and it might happen eventually with the amount of content they're producing, but I think the good thing they've shown as far as even Thor Dark World, which was a big success, reviewed well, but I think lots of people still put it at a very bottom tier of MCU, right? But look at what they did in Endgame. They didn't ignore it. They made it part of the story. They made it so, I got to go home and watch Thor Dark World. So I think that's one thing that lots of studios, I'm like, look at the Dark Universe. They did one movie in The Mummy. It wasn't praised well, and they just pivoted and threw away the whole universe. I think even if Marvel has some sort of stinker or something where, let's say, it's universally like this was a big mess up by them, they will find a way to course correct or kind of enlighten it later on. I don't think it's one of these things that I'm not too worried about just because they're a well-oiled machine. I think it's kind of, they put their heart and passion into a project, and then after that, whether it's great or poor, they go, okay, what's next? And they move on. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So All right. So last story of the night is some set photos. So I've actually, while you guys were chatting, I was trying to push the envelope so I could pull these up to have
I
these
can keep
ready.
going because all in the game is because you talked about Watchmen was 9 to match
the ready. But if you want to start poking the bear, go keep poking the bear if you want.
I'm not poking the bear, but he said like 9 was match the comic panels. DD was a little fat with those 13 episodes, but yeah, and like I said, it's all different as far as lots of people had problems with season 2 of Daredevil. I didn't. I love that it was 13 episodes and you had story A and story B. Some people went, oh, I didn't like that. To me, there was no fat on that season. Even I don't think there was any fat on season, and that's where it all comes down to opinion, right? So
fat on that season. That's the most scandalous thing been said tonight. Fat on DD. No, unacceptable. Unacceptable.
All right. So let us move on to our last topic. We've got some fun images we've got going on. So we got some new set photos coming in, and this came from the actress herself who is playing basically
first time.
And the actress who's playing Echo had posted this on her Instagram, and it was very quickly taken down, but again, she's excited. We not only see her in Echo's, very much comic accurate, and we also see Jeremy Renner in a new costume, very comic accurate for this. So I'm excited for her. I again, so be it at that point. I think nothing's wrong with this, in the sense of, okay, I look at these and say, oh, it looks terrible. Again, it's a picture on a phone, and she gets excited, puts it out there. Yes, no, don't do that. Kevin Feige will chop off one of your fingers or take your firstborn male child or female child, have you?
Unless you're Alfred Molina.
Thank you.
But I mean, this is just cool seeing it, especially Echo and what they're doing. And she doesn't. My hope is that I think that we're going to see her at some point either don the Ronin costume, or we're going to see her either be it before, be it after at that point. But I like what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, when I saw it the first time, I actually did not know Echo was beside him because I was just like, look at all that purple, look at the arrow. And then I had to go back as being Brent. I'm like, oh, right. And I'm like, I can see the mark on her face. So I will honestly say I am surprised he's getting this costume, not for the fact of, I know it's from some runs, especially the Matt Fraction one. Like the Matt Fraction one kind of has the sleeves cut off, and I'll wait to see this in motion. I wish it actually did have the sleeves cut off. I don't know about the long sleeve look, but I like it in general. I'm still a homer for the original. I hope we at least get some sort of joke about wearing a mask or a helmet or something like that, because I don't care. I freaking love the winged helmet. It's so cool, but here we are. My thing that I'm surprised that he got it is because I've been operating under the base that this was going to be a send-off. I know it's a weird thing to say, maybe some people might think, but me seeing him get a new costume is making me question if this is actually the last time we see him, because I just feel like if this was send-off, let's say it really was your new Hawkeye, now I'm going off to live with my family, I don't think there would be a need, even budget-wise, to give him a costume. Like, just have him wear like the Matt Fraction like jeans and t-shirts. So I actually think this costume means he's going to be sticking around. And I think it's going to be similar to what we got in Falcon, what we got in the great no fat season Daredevil, where he got it in the season finale, the costume. I think that's what's going to happen. So Lennox, Jeremy Renner set her up. He knows he shouldn't be taking photos like that. 100%. He probably walked away, had a little laugh, like rookie. But yeah, I think they look good. I'm excited to see them in actual. None of them look as far as good as set photos as they will on screen. But like I said, that's my new working theory, that I think Hawkeye will be sticking around, and maybe Hawkeye will get a season 2, and you'll get him and Kate Bishop. So that's my other Travis told you so.
I've been operating under the same assumption. This is Jeremy Renner's swan song. This is his goodbye. He's finally getting that project that, I mean, some people think he deserved a while ago. Other people still think he still doesn't. But regardless, I'm glad he's getting this story. I will push back on you on one spot there. I absolutely think they'd make a costume just for a one-off like this. I mean, case in point, the new Falcon costume in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. 5 episodes and it's done. It's no longer his costume. So I think they would do it.
Yeah, I see the point there. I guess it's just because I feel like that's investing because like he's still sticking around. But you're not wrong. They definitely made one just for him to rock it. So maybe I guess he is. Maybe that's the symbol that he like literally hangs it up in his house, and that's him being done. So you could be right.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because again, he'll be retired, just like he's retired in this show.
He's been retired since Civil War.
Exactly. So, all right, let me remove this one and load up our Miss Marvel. Let's see.
And these people who got the photo of Miss Marvel's, man, they got just a front row seat to just getting like, and it's not even like that one is clearly like someone taking a photo of Renner with this actress and it's posed, but this one was literally like some guys like he has a great camera. That's all. It's like he or she has a great camera with a big scope on it, and it's just like it's a full on like profile. Like they could release this, I mean, a little bit better, and that could have been the one, but pitch perfect costume.
Yeah, it's so comic accurate, and I think we've seen over the years the costume improve, make some different changes, but Marvel has done for a while and done a good job of this. These heroes wear costumes.
Yep.
Sometimes ridiculous, sometimes spot on. This is spot on. This is awesome. I can't wait to see it in action. I can't wait to see her powers in action.
Will we see her powers in action, though? That's the thing. We have like some reports about her getting new powers, so I wonder if she's still going to stretch or not. I hope so.
I wouldn't put a lot of stock in those reports. I feel like this is a character who they need to stick pretty comic accurate with her. I think they can change her from an Inhuman to a mutant pretty cleanly. And other than that, I'm like, and not that that's been reported. That's just something I've speculated on. Other than that, I'm like, you got to stick pretty close to who she is. And this costume is freaking fantastic. And it's going to be awesome seeing it on Disney Plus. It's going to be awesome, as part of that Marvel's logo that we're getting. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. I mean, this isn't even like the final rendered, edited photo, like properly released from PR. It's a paparazzi shot and it looks incredible.
Yeah, they did. This is probably one of the better set spoiler set photos that we've gotten in a very long time, because again, a lot of them are just like too far away, blurry, people making unfair assumptions, but I'll make all the positive assumptions. Again, this is awesome.
Can't wait.
Yep. All right. So those are all the news.
We did it.
Yeah. Got through it. So do you want to take our last ad break?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. All right, listeners, this is our last ad break before we get into some fact or fictions of a lot of your listener questions, which drove some of us to think a little bit. But yeah, so these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance. Don't get to choose the ads, so mom, be a bit loud. Give you that 3 count so we don't blow out those eardrums. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, so let's do some listener questions. This is going to take some interesting time. So, Travis, why don't you get your
I will
question?
kick mine to fact or fiction. I incorporated it there, so there you go. So
okay,
I put it a little bit there.
So all that whining about not putting it in there.
Yeah, okay. Listeners in the chat, he was like, I share with these gentlemen every week at that point the rundown, and so he's like, someone doesn't want my question in there. I said, fool, you're on the darn show. I didn't think I needed to hold your hand and have you remember the question at that point.
I'm not going to lie. There's a second amendment to the story as far as I had 3 fact or fictions. The third one, I definitely forgot and did not write down, and I'm very mad. So that's another reason why it's getting switched. But yes, I was like, where's my question? Why is it not there? But there you go. Full circle. I got the karma in the face there. I just wanted to be sure. It was a good question. And it was something I had not even thought about. So what is the next question we got?
All right. So we'll start with Fanboy Clay. Could Marvel thrive in a Marvel Unlimited digital-only weekly release schedule, meaning only collected trades and hardcovers be released physically? there's been so many rumors of comics industry changing to trade only format for a very long time. I have a vested interest in this, but I'll defer to you guys first.
I'll go first because I think I'm the least experienced here. I'm open to it. That sounds like a kind of brave new scarier world at times, but I think with enough backing they could. I think obviously it would be a big change in the community, but I think if they really got behind it, was really really like clear cut on the schedule, well in cooperation with Marvel Unlimited, perhaps it could work. But like I said, I plead the fifth to these guys, which know a lot more about comics than me. I just pick them up. I go, these look fun, and I read them, and they're bright images, and it's great. And here we are. But
good, Brett.
I mean, there's a lot of questions that would come up. So I guess potential problems I see with this, and maybe this isn't actually a problem, the line would have to shrink. I don't see them having as many books every single month under this model, because currently they have markets for the physical. They can sell, the singles, the floppies, whatever. They can sell digital. They can also sell the collected later down the line. And then they also have people like myself who read them on Marvel Unlimited. So they got these 4 core areas of where they could sell it. If they did this, they're losing the single issues. They're losing Comixology, because why would you ever have Comixology? Why would you pay for it on Comixology when you can subscribe to Marvel Unlimited and get it? So they're crushing two of their revenue streams, and I don't know if they're their biggest ones. I don't know. Do trades make more money than singles? I don't follow that part of the business enough to know, but I got to ask that question. And so selfishly, just for me, I would love this. Yeah, I'd pay probably I'd consider 2.5, 3 times the price of Marvel Unlimited right now to get every single book weekly. You kidding? That sounds amazing. I would definitely come out ahead. Even at 3 times the price, I would come out ahead. So I personally would love this. So I don't see how it would be a working model long term, like a successful. I mean, if they just want, if Feige, who's basically in charge of Marvel everything now, wants to just say, no, it's a loss leader, it's an ideas factory that we can pull from for the real money in the TV shows and the movies. Okay, great. By all means, do it. But if they actually want Marvel Comics to be profitable, I don't see how this would work.
Yeah, it's there's. I think DC has done a better job, and I think they've really kind of led in some ways of the big two to put digital first, like comics that are digital first, and then later on, I think after a month they do come out in the singles and in trades at that point. As someone who does the collected editions and digital at that point, there's a couple of things that aren't going down this pathway for Marvel, because they just made the new deal with Penguin Random House for the collected editions and the floppies. They're still with Diamond, but so the problem with just doing trades at that point is in the physical market and moving away from floppies is not everyone has access to the digital as well as we think. I think that I still think that the price barrier for some people, in the sense of, but also with that idea, the singles kind of determine what gets collected in trades a lot of times outside of some of the bigger titles. And so they see exactly what is selling. So if you take away that idea, then it makes it kind of difficult saying, okay, we're just going to put it out in trades and collected editions. Like, where is this kind of coming from? Are you just going to collect these stories, or are we saying that digital is going to determine how much readership in digital is going to determine the trades? Are we just going to move that to the digital? Is that what we're trying to say?
I mean, I don't know. There's a couple of things there. Let's give some credit to where it's due. For digital first, Marvel has dabbled. They've done their Infinite Comics things, which are sort of motion-like, sort of not. There, I don't know. They weren't for me. DC has definitely played this game, the digital first, way more. Now, typically when they do it, they're different. They're like half pages. Like, they design them to be read on a tablet first, and so the pages, the layouts, and everything are different. But I don't know. I mean, you said that like not everybody has access to the internet or to broadband and stuff like that right now. I work in technology for a school district during the pandemic. I am fully aware of that fact. But I might argue that more people let me rephrase it. Fewer people have access to physical brick and mortar comic book stores for single
True.
issues than have access to halfway decent internet. And you know what? These files, they're not big. You don't need fiber speeds. You don't need Google Fiber. You don't need, I mean, your basic internet package, whatever the cheapest one is from your basic cable provider, will get you enough to easily download these. So
no, you bring up a point. Yeah.
That's definitely an issue. I mean, there's always going to be an availability issue. So from that standpoint, I think, and we know that Marvel has, I mean, they value these digital sales. I think I'd have to go fact check this, but I want to say Miss Marvel had a volume, like early on, was almost canceled based strictly off the physical sales, but the digital sales, in addition to it, were good enough it saved the book.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of dynamic in the sense of where do you kind of, I don't see an outright cutoff because pandemic last year, these guys, collected editions have had no, I mean, they are collectors in this market. Like, go back 2-3 years ago before the pandemic, I wouldn't have to wait and do different things to like wait for in-stock trades usually debuts and cheap graphic novels usually debuts on Monday night and 3 p.m. on the East Coast on Tuesdays for the new releases. You could get on there and be guaranteed probably within a week getting your book at that point, getting it. Now, if you don't log on for that big Marvel title, the Roger Stern or something like that, it's gone. Like, it's out of stock, out of print. Like, there are so many new people in this market doing the collected editions. It's crazy. So there is a growing market to do this at that point. So it'll be interesting to see exactly. I don't think Marvel, like we said, Marvel has not done a good enough job leaning into digital and trying it as much as DC. I think as we keep on saying streaming and doing digital with movies and things like that, I think this is the beginning, but we still haven't seen the full death of movies in the sense of discs at that point. So I could see a half and half thing, but I don't think we're there yet getting rid of physical.
We're not, and you're right. Like, disc and steelbooks and Blu-rays are all very much around, but if you really look at it, like, even they're on the way out. Like, they're like, I don't know specifically what it was, but there was something about like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, like either the one with Dolby or whatever audio, something like that, was only available through Disney Plus and was not available on the Blu-ray. And it's like, it seems like there's been reports lately that Warner Brothers is still pushing heavily, as they should be, into HBO Max and away from the physical media. That stuff's on its way out. Tim Rooney said you could lose making new fans this way. You could lose making new fans this way because they'll be expected to know so much jumping into character. And I know comics haven't made that many new readers in decades. True, but I might argue that if they play the algorithm game a bit, and like to argue for this, and Marvel Unlimited should probably be doing this anyway. DC Universe Infinite should be doing this anyway. You read this, you might like this. This is Netflix. This is a 92% match based on your history and stuff. Comic books have a lot of like the comic book shop has a lot of negative connotations, and by opening up the doors to these, people can look at it without this like fear of what they're walking into and who they're going to be. And I'm not saying it's right, but it is there. Those negative connotations are there. You don't have that aspect with someone just looking it up on their iPad or their Fire tablet or whatever it is. So I don't see how the comic shops I don't see how Marvel could be profitable with comics by going truly this way. There are upsides to it that I think they should be pushing into a bit.
Yeah, and I'll definitely go back on my point of just saying not the internet being access, because you're exactly right, Brent. This has helped more of getting people into this at that point. But I think what I should have said was marketing Marvel Unlimited, marketing these platforms better.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I think that is what I should have said. And I think that's what I'll go back on, is that same thing with DC Universe Infinite. What marketing is behind that? Because I don't see a lot in the sense, same thing with Marvel Unlimited. I don't see a lot. And they really should start leaning harder into that if they want to build those platforms and build that thing and saying, hey, right here, I'm Ray is perfect. Where besides what Scott sends him, where are all his collectives at that point on his iPad? He's got everything he wants right then and there. You know, that's something that
Mhm.
they can really lean into. So you want to know the beginnings of the Eternals all the way back to Kirby. It's all right there in your hands.
Well, and to the point of as far as marketing on Geek First, we started a show called Comic Virgins. That's Taylor and Kirkland reading stuff for the first time. They've been watching the MCU in their entirety. They didn't know about Marvel Unlimited until this past year, until we got them subscribed so we could review it. We got an episode coming up next month. We're reviewing the Truth, Black, and Just, whichever one about Isaiah Bradley. I've only read it once a long time ago, but yeah, we're gonna do that one. But yeah, before we did that for WandaVision, got a little of that. No idea. And these are guys, like I said, that are already subscribed to Disney Plus, have bought Blu-rays, are invested, or review these movies. But just even something simple as why isn't there like a banner in Disney Plus or something like that? Like just anything just to get you somewhere. So I think if you especially with Disney, a marketing machine, they should be behind it a lot more. They could be behind it a lot more.
Okay. Fanboy Clay's back in. He said, of course, I come back in the middle of my question. He says, I mean, more of them only doing trades and not completely getting rid of physical, not rid of physical, only floppies. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that I don't, this is a lot longer yet going away than, like you're saying, Brent. Disc media is now pretty, it's not gone yet, but it's really much on its last legs.
It's on its way out.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't know how comic stores could survive that way on just
they're gone.
trades. Like they'd have to be gone. You know, the marketing, it seems like The Walking Dead is the only thing you ever really hear consistently brings new readers in. Like those first couple volumes of The Walking Dead, especially in the first 4 or 5 seasons of that show, they were always topping the charts for best trade sellers, right? I don't know the rules for like what can go. I'm sure there are rules for what can go in credits in the end of a movie, but part of me has always wondered, why is there not just a little section? Some of the comic books that inspired the movie you just watched were, and then put them listed in it, because especially in a Marvel movie, you're sitting through the credits anyway. You have a captive audience. You have people at least maybe not interested in the medium, but they're interested in the characters. So this would be an opportunity to say, hey, you just watched Captain America, the Winter Soldier, go read Captain America by Ed Brubaker, you know, like just give people those names and start connecting some of the dots for them. So that even if all they do was, hey, I like the new Winter Soldier movie, and it said, look for Ed Brubaker, Captain America, help me out. And every single comic shop owner is going to be able to point them right to that run, you know, right to where why are these, the lack of marketing, like that's a whole different issue. I don't know why they're not doing it more. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean they do it on the actual Unlimited and DC Infinite at that point. They do a good job putting it there at that point. And Tim responding to Fanboy Clay saying comic shops can be intimidating. His friend Nikki loves to freak in comic shops we both go to, however, feels unwanted sometimes. Yeah, I mean you do have comic book shops like, oh, the newbie who doesn't know anything at that point. Yeah, that can be. You have a special thanks section that can add styles. Yeah, oh yeah, it's exactly there. So. Very good topic that we can go on, do a whole show even more about. So thank you Clay for doing that. All right, from Travis, our buddy Travis from Superhero Discussions DC Alliance has a question. Feige comes to you and tells you he is starting the Marvel multiverse branch of Marvel Studios. If there are no character restrictions, what's the first movie you pick? Is it based on a graphic novel or a character study similar to Joker?
Chris, if I look at my screenshot, I think it says Elseworlds. I didn't see multiverse there, but that's fine.
I am not touching that.
I must have got the wrong one. I'm sorry, I got the wrong memo.
You definitely got the wrong one.
I'm going a different route because I've had this question before on Geekverse and this show, so we've kind of answered a few times. So I try to do something very different. My answer is inspired by someone being like, I like to pretend that these people are in the same cinematic universe. And there's a picture of Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Toby's Spider-Man, Ang Lee's Hulk, which is awful, and the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Give me that. Give me a what if series, or just a, hey, we're going to do animated, obviously not live action. There's no way. I'm going pure animated because I feel like you could get Hugh Jackman back for that. Like, hey, we're just gonna do 6 episodes, half an hour, it's like just some fun palling around. You could get Ben Affleck for that. I think you pay them well enough. And when that it'd be such a cool prestige project. Let's say the next D23, you have like Ben Affleck walk on stage and Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman. It's like all these like Hollywood titans together. Toby's not a titan, I know that, but still, like all these people have comic book past, like Wesley Snipes, like stuff like that. Get them back. It's like they're all voicing their characters, and we're gonna do a fun called Marvel Legacy Cinematic Universe. These people. That's kind of what I would want, because same way, I would love to see that. But of course, now we're way past that. You can't do that. But I think that would be tons of fun. So that's my pitch for a Marvel multiverse thing, is a Marvel Legacy project with taking Taylor. You can get your Nick Cage Ghost Rider back, getting characters and actors from the past, put them together and have fun. Make that an actual cinematic universe. Like it's the same way as some other properties as far as making the old movie into a comic book. Why not if you do it animated? I think animated, there's no harm, no foul. It could be an answer to What If. So that's mine.
I think I would just adapt the first volume or two into an animated show of The Exiles. The Exiles by Judd Winnick. I don't know if either of you have ever read this.
Nope.
I don't know if the listeners
In a
have read
long
this.
time.
But I adore this story. And it is effectively a team of X-Men, one from each different universe, different Earth, traveling around fixing wrongs in the multiverse. That is effectively what it is. Think of like Legends of Tomorrow now on the CW, right? It's that idea, pull a bunch of different people, throw them together. Hey, here's the most barest of instructions, solve the riddle, fix the multiverse. And it is a fantastic book. It is one of my favorite X-Men books, even though it's not X-Men proper. So I'm going to go with that one.
Is that on Marvel Unlimited?
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's going to go to my library.
Yeah.
I've never read that. So that's cool.
Exiles is a very fun title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Tim Rooney says Marvel Legacy animated show throws wallet at screen.
Oh,
that's not how digital money goes, Tim.
One day it'll just suck it up.
Is that the Peggy Carter Captain America book? Fanboy Clay's asking.
No. She is not in that one. But just to tease you, Spider-Man 2099 eventually shows up and joins the team. So
yes,
eventually they do branch out
does.
from some. It's not just mutants. It just kind of starts that way. Check it out. You're welcome.
And if they did it, they could do the adaptation. Like if he's like shouting out Peggy Carter's Captain America, you could like, hey, people really like that What If episode. We're gonna take that character, plug her into that. Like you said, Legends to more, just like the ones people like. Here, take this one, take this one. People really like whatever we're doing weirdly with Doctor Strange and his What If episode, the dark one. Let's take that villainous Doctor Strange and put him there. Like I do think that Loki is a big sign of that. The whole like I've said before, I think it'll be the most popular Disney Plus show just because the name alone. Hiddleston's a big name, but I think what you're explaining there, that sounds like some of the vibes we're getting from Loki. So I think if that works, we could see if that and What If works, I think that's going to be more signs for them to be like, okay, we can get weird and do some off the wall stuff.
Yeah, I kind of took the questions like, okay, what's an event, or what's the kind of a character kind of study at that point, and I'll go the event. Recent event, Avengers No Surrender. The villains succeed in taking over Earth. The remaining Avengers had to work together to stop all the cosmic threats that tried to destroy them. But in the comics, this was an event that combined the Avengers team for all-out war to greater threat. And but the villains never surrendered and they never stood down. So having a group of villains take over the Earth would make a very exciting kind of one-off kind of story of what would happen there. And a character study, we did a comic book club on it. I want a Cosmic Ghost Rider. I think that would be
He'd fit perfect in any of these type of weird like shows. That's the perfect route.
You don't even have to put it. You don't have to put it in. At that point, stop it, Fanboy Clay. Stop it. Stop it. At that point, we won't utter that. So next one is John Hasselman put up at his question was, which upcoming project do you think U.S. Agent is most likely to appear in?
This was a head scratcher because I was talking about this with Ducky. He listened to this show and he's a Geek First listener, and he was talking about, because obviously Heinz said that as a fact or fiction. So me and we're talking about as far as where could he appear. And I honestly think it's going to be secluded to whatever happens Captain America style, whether that is, and I guess I kind of add in Thunderbolts in there, but whether it's Cap 4 or whatever the second season of this show, because I don't care that we're getting Cap 4. I think there'll be a second season, even if it's just Bucky with a new name and Bucky in a character. I don't see him popping up in Hawkeye. I don't see him. I don't see it in Secret Invasion.
Armor Wars?
That is a potential one. That is the most likely as far as all the ones I've heard. I go, okay, that's potential one. I see that, but that's. I think that's about it. And what was the question again? Was it what phase or when will we see him?
When will you most where do you think U.S. Agent will most likely appear in? What project?
Yes. So I'm sure that's probably Chris's answer, and then I will just agree with him. I think if you're putting a gun to my head, if it's not a Captain America related project, Armor Wars could make a lot of sense. Or like I said, if it's not just Thunderbolts, here you go.
The ones I thought kind of, if I didn't know where they were in production, I would have guessed Hawkeye. But I think if he were in Hawkeye, we would know it by now. And I could see me also guessing Spider-Man if we didn't know where they were in production. Again, I think we would have known that by now. I'm going to say She-Hulk. I could just see an episode where he's the defendant. He's the defendant. And I'm like, it seems ridiculous, but...
Oh, God, what do you do now?
Yeah.
I mean, if not that, Armor Wars makes a lot of sense, but I would not rule out Secret Invasion. Val definitely was like, it's going to get weird.
That's
true.
what I was
like
gonna say.
That feels a little meta to me because I think it is going to get weird. And well, I still believe Sharon's a Skrull, so I'm like, I think Secret Invasion. It involves Nick Fury, involves Shield or whatever it is now referred to as. That's not that big a leap from the Captain America group of characters.
It's true because I completely with him separately. I go now no, but with Val, especially with her own history with Nick Fury, that is the thing where it's like okay, that could be a perfect setup to be him, and then maybe we get some if Daredevil is in that show like some rumors suggested. Maybe we get some Matt Murdock versus John Walker action, and that could be fun.
Looking good, John.
Yeah, looking good, looking strong, man.
But that won't be able to say that though. That's an unfortunate thing. So. Yeah.
All right. So our last question coming from a guy named Joe. If you had to recast the DC movie universe only with actors from the MCU, what would you do? So I'm gonna lead this one off.
Are we going to give the whole cast or be like, here's each of our Batmans, here's each of our Supermans?
What would you prefer? It doesn't matter to me.
You guys are the hosts. Yeah.
What would you prefer, Brent?
I think we should give each character.
Okay, each character, and then go. So all right. So we'll do. We decided to do the JLA where we left it. So we got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman. We will lean to where Zack Snyder's Justice League established it at that point. So that's where we're going to go with. So Batman, I took two different routes. Because I asked this question in our chat, and Brengie said, go, don't let how it was portrayed, the age or anything like that. But I took two different routes with Batman. If we were going to go older Batman, I'll either go with Idris Elba or Josh Brolin. If we're going to go for and I put younger in quotes, but like these actors are younger, but not necessarily their actual age, either Bradley Cooper, Daniel Bro, or Sterling K. Brown.
Very nice. I'll go next because I had one of your picks. I had Idris Elba. He's up there with Rachel McAdams and Mads Mikkelsen as far as an actor that I think the MCU had, but really did not utilize the greatest. I know Rachel McAdams is coming back, but still, I just feel could do a lot more. But yeah, Idris, I think if I went in the route of I'm kind of casting in what they went for in those movies. So he's older, he can play a grizzled bastard, he's tough. So that's where I went with as well with Elba for Batman.
Sebastian Stan is my Batman.
Okay.
So it's a younger Batman. You went the older Batman with Brolin and stuff, or one of your ideas. I'm going younger Sebastian Stan. I think physically he has those chops. I mean, we've seen him do it, and I believe he could. I believe he could play a aloof Bruce Wayne and the brooding Batman quite well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who do you want? Superman next?
Sure.
All right. So Superman, mine's boring. I had a boring one at that point. It's either going to be Chris Evans or Michael B. Jordan, in my mind.
Yep.
So.
I went with I don't know if this counts as a cheat because the movie's not out, but I don't care. He's in the MCU. I went with Richard Madden from Game of Thrones. He's going to be Icarus in Eternals, and he's a lot of people's pick to play Bond. So I kind of went for, okay, what's a Henry Cavill type? Well, and obviously lots of people go, oh, Henry Cavill should be Bond. So that's how it led me to him. He's also British, so it just kind of works out. He's a good, young, strapping, long dude. At one point, I had some older people for Superman. Oh no, I went Cavill a little younger. So Richard Madden was my pick. The great Rob Stark, King of the North.
I went for Chris as well. Chris Hemsworth, actually. Chris Hemsworth, I believe, would make a great Superman. I mean, he's got the lightheartedness for those kind of scenes, and then I think, is not given enough credit for what he can do from a drama standpoint. I think he's a better actor than people give him credit for.
100%.
And he's got the build for it. Dye his hair, and we're there.
I was just about to ask about hair. I was going to say, do we get, the blonde Superman for the first time? Because I remember when Daniel Craig was cast as Bond, it was a big deal. Oh, we got a Bond blonde. What's happening? But that'd be funny. John Cena for Superman. Fanboy Clay says, not today, sir.
Not today. All right, Wonder Woman. My picks are either Zoe Saldana or Danai Gurira.
I had Zoe as well. She's great. She's, I think, kind of like what Brent was just talking about with Hemsworth, how she doesn't get enough credit. She's in that category as well. So I think she'd be a great Wonder Woman. So she was my pick.
I was telling you before we started, I thought of a really boring pick at first, and that was this. And it's not my pick, but that was Jamie Alexander, our Lady Sif. It's just too on the nose. It's too on the nose. I'm going with Tessa Thompson, though. So I'm sticking with the Thor franchise. Tessa Thompson as Wonder Woman. I think that'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Valkyrie, on brand at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely still similar. It just, she at least doesn't look like Wonder Woman traditionally does, the way Jamie Alexander is sifted.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. All right, Flash. One is boring with mine, and then Brent inspired me. He inspired me for my other idea. Okay. Tom Holland as Flash, and then Letitia Wright, Shuri as Flash.
I like that
because I just liked her energy. And if we're gonna go with the idea of Wally or something like that, or Wally-esque at that point, I loved how she portrayed Shuri, just this energy and always trying to figure out a new way of thinking. It was just not even this Wally or Barry at that point, but it doesn't have to be Wally or Barry. There have been female Flashes, obviously, but I would love to see a cool gender swap with that.
So I'm going with this one because third time's a charm, where I feel like he did a great job the first time he played a speedster, but he got ridden poorly. The second time he became nothing but a boner. So I'm picking Evan Peters as my Flash because, man, I just want to see a movie where Evan Peters is a speedster and it's more than half an hour. I think, obviously, how people know how I feel about the boner thing. I'm still not a fan of it. We'll never like that. And then in the X-Men franchise, they slowly were just like, we don't know how to use this character. So I just think he got done dirty twice, in my opinion. So, and I think he just has a good, fun, kinetic energy. I'm not a big fan of Ezra Miller's Flash, so I would much rather swap Evan Peters in there that I think is a better comedic actor. So
I definitely went a different route with this. I actually didn't even consider Evan Peters. I did think of Tom Holland. But I'm actually going to go with Tom Hiddleston. A little bit older Flash, but it's like nothing. There's nothing that says Barry has to be the young kid. That's a DCEU thing. That's not a Barry in general thing. And so I'm going with Tom Hiddleston. I think it'd be nice to see him truly as one of the good guys. No asterisks. No, remember he killed a bunch of people in New York that one time and we forgave him anyway. A full-on heroic Tom Hiddleston.
We do have a correction to make. Fanboy Clay has posted the cover Excel number 3 with Peggy Carter, Captain America. So
on GUA there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
well, there you go. She was in there. I was gonna ask who this little Wolverine dude is. I want to get to know him a little bit better. He's a cute looking sucker. But when was this? Was this drawn? I guess they cast her because that. But she looks almost identical to Haley Atwell.
Okay. I'm gonna point this out. This is not the Exiles run I was talking about. This Exiles happened. I read it. I'm just gonna say it. Not nearly as good, in my opinion, as the one I was talking about. You want to go to
The
back?
original.
It's older, written by Judd Winnick. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Fair enough. Qualified. All right, Cyborg. My casting of Cyborg. I was having a tough time. When I going through the list of actors and actresses that could do this, but I came upon this actor and I thought, oh my gosh, it's been staring at me in the face the whole time. Winston Duke as Cyborg.
That's a good one.
Times two.
Times two. There you go.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to be the only one. All right.
Very nice. I didn't even think about that. I went with some legacy casting and I cast Michael B. Jordan because that would not be his first time being Cyborg, as he played Cyborg in Flashpoint. So
True.
That's where I kind of pulled that from. Originally, he was my Superman until I thought Richard Madden. I went, okay, I can swap them because I had Anthony Mackie at Cyborg one point, but I was trying to find a bit younger because obviously they portrayed him as younger in Justice League, even though I feel like he's a grown man on that football field. That's a whole different conversation. There's not, unfortunately, that many young black actors in the MCU. So I hope that changes.
Winston Duke is 34 years old.
Yeah, like they're not that young. So hopefully Miles is coming. We have other characters, obviously Eli and stuff like that. So hopefully we get more of that type of actor coming, because there was not a big poll list from this list when I was looking at the casting.
That says a lot about Marvel and MCU. They have work to do.
I guess just to have another name, Donald Glover. He's got that one little scene too.
I had him too.
But honestly, Winston Duke is really who I had down.
Yeah. All right, last one, Aquaman. This is where I either had Chris Hemsworth or Sebastian Stan.
I had Hemsworth as well. I think I've gotten heat over this before. I can't remember when it was. I think when we first started the network, there was this poll of like who's more replaceable, Gal Gadot or Jason Momoa. And people may hate me, but I say Gal Gadot every time, because I think Gal Gadot is a decent actress, but I think a lot of actors or actresses could do what she's doing in that, where that Aquaman is just Jason Momoa. It is just him. It is structure around him. That plot, that script in Aquaman is structured around who Jason is as a guy. It's very much like Robert Downey. He's playing Robert Downey as Tony Stark. So I don't think he's replaceable. It'd be very tough. But if you got to try and find someone that could be kind of broy, very jokey, very charismatic, I think Hemsworth has done that in the past, specifically Ragnarok. So that's where I went Hemsworth as well.
Wow, that's an interesting question there. Who's more replaceable? That would have been a different. My answer to that might have been different before Wonder Woman 84. I don't know.
Let's see Aquaman 2. Let's see what happens there.
Yeah, let's make it a fair game. That's true. Chris Evans. I'm going more traditional Aquaman here. Aquaman is the blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid in the comic books, and I'm not looking for someone who can do what Jason Momoa does. Because you're right. Jason Momoa, that is Jason Momoa. That is his thing. And it works. He is a great Aquaman. Call it what it is.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I don't think someone can mimic. I think trying to mimic it would fail. So if we're not going to be able to mimic what Jason Momoa is doing, let's go radically different. And I didn't want to make him Superman because it seemed too obvious, but I wanted him to be a part of it. So Chris Evans.
Yep.
All right. So very good questions all around. Definitely made us think at that point. So thank you all for writing in, and I thank you, Brent, for putting out the call.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's get to our Factor of Fictions. I'll read those. I can't remember which one of you are doing it. Travis, are you doing it?
I'm up.
Okay,
I'm up.
So Brent, you go next week.
Yeah.
Get to one more week. So all right. Yeah. So these were mine, I believe. Fact or fiction number 1, we will see U.S. agent again in phase 4. 91% said fact, 9% said fiction. So
I think these were actually Hines, weren't they? Hines.
They were Hines. Yeah. Sorry, geez. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It was a long week last week.
I couldn't remember that. Sorry, Hines.
Phase 4. Okay. 91% fact.
Yep.
Okay.
He asked next, Chris Evans will appear as Steve Rogers in at least 2 MCU properties in the future. 81% said fact, 19% said fiction.
I wish you went 3, because I thought 3 would have made it a bit, because I think 2 is almost a given, because I feel like we get an end credit and then whatever he's actually doing. 3 is that golden, like, okay, is he really sticking around? But yeah, I agree fact on that one. It's for sure 2. I feel like I don't think it's a one and done. If it was a one and done, I actually don't think it would have leaked for a deadline. I think they would have found a way just to here's a fun cameo and then he's gone,
I remember why I thought it was mine because I was technically supposed to go next, and then Heinz took over. So, all right. So last one, the Young Avengers will be a Disney Plus show by the end of Phase 6. 88% said fact, 12% said fiction.
I said fiction. I said fiction. I wouldn't have said fiction till last week when we got that Captain America 4 announcement, but I don't think a movie's out of play. Before I thought, oh, they're strictly going to do the show and it'll be the show on Disney Plus once we get it all together. No, I know it's a different character. I know there's more lineage. Sam was in the movies, but I still think there's a chance they go, we want to go big budget. They could easily do a show and I could be wrong, but after that happened, I went, it's possible. So I went fiction for now.
So far, all the real setup for it's been on Disney Plus. I think the payoff will be too.
There you go.
So.
All right.
Go for it.
All right, let's start with the easy one. So we had heard that Silk was going into like some production and whatnot on Amazon. Filming in August. We don't have much writers or stars, whatnot, but okay. Either way, if the show does happen, Silk will mention Peter Parker or another Spider character. So I'm not saying like she has to say it, but there will be, the world will have had another Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, someone like that, Miles Morales, or just Peter Parker. It doesn't even have to be a character, but could just be a mention. There'll be some other, it won't be just like she's alone, she's Silk, and we have no other history of anything else Spider-Man.
It better be fact, or what are they doing? I
mean, we've seen that before, right? Yeah, we've seen that before. Like this is my approach because I know Brent loves this movie, so he'll love this example. But like Joker, there's no other than that. Like I guess there's a but there's not. There's Bruce Wayne, but there's not like okay, we jumped 20 years later, he's Batman. Technically, you could watch it maybe and be like, okay, it's just about Joker for now. That's what I'm wondering with Silk. Like, could it just be? It's just about Silk. She's in her own separate world. We ignore everything else.
So she was. Just they're gonna ignore that she was bitten by the same spider that bit Peter
easily. It's Sony.
Yeah, they can.
You know what? You're right. It's Sony. You had me. You got me.
Yeah, they definitely can ignore it. And I half expect them to ignore it at that point. But what I don't expect them to do is not drop a not so subtle Easter egg reference or reference to Spider-Man or Spider-Woman, some spider being in this universe, that she is not the only one that has powers in this way. I think that's a lost opportunity. I think it's dumb if they do.
They'll pull like a Spider-Man's gone, Spider-Man's missing. Where is he? She's going to show up. Some webs are going to start showing up around New York. Is Spider-Man back? That's what they'll say. And then we'll find out. Now we're taking our cues from Batwoman
played by Ruby Rose.
And then she'll leave, and they'll bring in someone else to play.
Yeah.
We'll change her face and give her some hypnosis and things like that. You know, that's a thing now. That's a real thing.
I'll say fiction as well, because this is more just a hope that Sony cannot, like, they can't be this kind of naive to be like not any mention. So I feel like there would have to be something, even if it's like Brent saying like, oh, Spider-Man was a thing, but he's missing. That's fine. So I was pleasantly surprised this week because I guess I had just forgotten that it was on Amazon. So when I saw that, okay, after The Boys and Invincible, I go, you know what? I'm getting a little excited. I've read a little bit of Silk, but you know what? I have a bit more faith that this could be something good. But I thought it'd be a fun question, and yeah, I'm fiction as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's fact because you know it's Sony. They love throwing us curveballs.
I would love to know when that deal was done.
Yes,
because we got the Sony Netflix deal that happened a couple weeks ago, the Sony Disney deal that happened last week. I would love to know. It's like, what, you're working with Amazon too, man. They're definitely spreading the eggs out among every basket, which that's a good move on their part.
Because they got to survive, and this is their way of doing it. And Fanboy Clay says, hashtag I believe in Sony, hashtag I believe in Morbius. Well, someone does these days.
Good luck getting those trending.
Those are some strange things to believe in there, man. You should open up a church and you'll fit right in. So I remember my other fact or fiction, so I got to save one for another time, but I'm bringing back the Daredevil one. But to do some Amazon crossover, and you know, you guys have been having some fun ed credits, and I know this is a thing. Fact or fiction, a Spider-Man character will appear in Invincible. Now, I think some people might go, no, I can't have him, but you think about Silk, I'm not saying it has to be that character, but Silk is a show that's going to be on Amazon. So like Brent said, we don't know when that deal is structured, but it shows that, you know, they could have some fun. I don't know how exactly that goes, but I thought I'd do a little crossover here. So fact or fiction, any Spider-Man character will appear in Invincible.
fiction.
They're playing
But
bluff.
there's going to be a nod to it. There's going to be a nod to
Yes.
it. I'm going to give like the smallest of spoilers for the comic book. Spider-Man and Invincible in Marvel Team Up number 14, I think it was, they met. Like Robert Kirkman wrote it, Cory Walker drew it. They met. It was full on in canon for Invincible. And the whole thing takes place between a couple panels of Invincible. Makes total sense when you actually read the stories. In the Invincible comic, the only way you know what happened is a strand of webbing got stuck to the back of Invincible. I could see something like that happening.
Mhm.
Like they could adapt that story, have him end up with the strand of webbing. I don't even want to say how. And I could see that happening. So I don't know. It's got to be fiction. I don't think we're going to really see Spider-Man or a Spider character.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think Kirkman loves that idea, loved that doing that kind of issue. He is not above putting that in there. And so I'll be fiction, but again, it will not be. You will not see a Marvel character. You will not see Marvel Spider-Man in Invincible.
When that happened, he was the writer on Marvel Team Up.
Yes.
And so he kind of had an in with both companies. And right now, unless I'm mistaken, he has zero connections to Marvel.
Correct.
So I don't, oh God, that would be amazing though. Could you just imagine if they did pull that off, just one episode of Spider-Man with Invincible? That'd be great.
Yeah, I think he's gone on record of how it didn't end well with Marvel.
Yeah, right.
So my question is, I know we always say it's like, oh yeah, everyone says it's great and it's not going to happen again. But another divorce happens and Sony is again separated from Marvel. I don't think it would happen, but let's just say it were to happen. Who has the power to let that happen? Because if the divorce again were to happen,
Marvel.
Is it Marvel that has the TV rights? That's what I was wondering. So how does like Silk work? Like when you probably did, like, how did they, when you have Kevin Feige or the team being like, we're getting rid of Ghost Rider, we're getting rid of all these Hulu shows. How do they let a Silk show get through, And that's where obviously maybe there's more dealings behind and whatnot, but that's where it's just like, I was going to say fact to play devil's advocate, but if it is Marvel, I'll say fiction. I think you're right with the alluding. That could be fun, but I still wonder, like, how is Silk happening then on Amazon? Like, how is it not even happening on Hulu? How is it not like, hey, it's not part of the MCU, but we're going to do it on Hulu or Disney Star and be like, we still want a piece of that pie, right? It's, to me, that's strange. That's why I don't. So I wonder if there's some sort of loophole where after another divorce that they could do it and have some fun with it. And let's say Amazon and Sony strike up some good relationship. I'll play it safe and play fiction, but you never know.
My understanding, and this may not be accurate, is
think Spider-Woman Twitter account.
Think in traditional TV shows, your half-hour show and your hour show. My understanding is the half-hour shows are Marvel, the hour shows are Sony. So I said Marvel at first, but Invincible would fall in that hour category, like it's past that half-hour mark. But maybe they do a short episode or something. Maybe they do a special, a one-off to do it. I think that's the breakdown, though. I don't think it's live action or animated. I don't think either that. I think it's really basically your traditional half-hour show versus your traditional hour show. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is Sony who has that, right? And if it is Sony, well, shoot, Sony's working with Amazon. Maybe let's not speak of any more divorces between these people. Let's just let them all be happy, sing Kumbaya, and move on.
Yeah, and it wasn't even because of the Invincible, like Spider-Man comic, or because of Invincible's popularity. It was just when I heard Silk was on Amazon, I was like, that's interesting. And they have obviously like a tiny history with Spider-Man and Invincible. It's like, okay, what if there's something to be done there? And I don't know, that could be an internet breaking moment, though. That could be if you want to be if you want to be the talk of the town the next day. If they even were to play ball with Marvel and say, hey, like let us just put Spider-Man in Invincible. Invincible is getting lots of steam. So it's like, hey, let us just do this one little thing. It's not going to hurt anything, So I want to say facts so bad. But I will say fiction. But I'll kick myself if it happens. I'm like, see, Travis, you should have doubled down. My final one is we had this a GV listener tagged me in this, and this kind of started a conversation. And a great fan wrote in named Travis Snell. Fact or fiction, the first time we see Daredevil in his superhero suit, it will not be the classic red costume. So this spawned from a tweet showing it was him in the kind of ninja all black style, the red and black, and the yellow and red. And someone said, it was some like tweet where it's like, what do we see him in first? And I thought that's really interesting.
And you have to qualify the red and black. You put the Shadowlands red and black.
Yes, that's the one. So, and I thought that was interesting because I kind of just assumed, oh yeah, he'll be red, but I'm like, there is kind of differences, and that's why I'm actually going to go fiction, because I think we're going to get that Shadowland one first, just to kind of put their own style on it a little bit. I think it will be. I don't see the yellow. I really don't, unless there's some sort of kind of fun joke. I just don't see the yellow in live action. I don't think it will work. I think it only works in comic books or animation. I really don't think it would fit well with the MCU. I've been proven wrong before, but I'll go fiction on my own. I think it will be the red and black Shadowland or some variation of that.
I see the yellow happening in the sense of like a flashback, like a real quick 2-minute recap on him. Here's how I got my start, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I just grabbed some clothes and put them on to cover my face up,
Exactly.
And I could see a little nod to it in there, but for his real costume, I think it'll be the red one, but it'll look different than Netflix, which if you look at the Netflix one, there was red on it, but it's not like it was a bright red. No. And I think we're going to get, the DD logo on the chest, the Daredevil logo. And to me, the only question is, will it be small and in the corner like the previous movie, or will it be big and right in the middle? But that's what I think. Full-on red costume with the Daredevil logo.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with the red Daredevil costume. I think if they were... I don't see Shadowlands. I think if they were going to do something different, and they would maybe lean into the Man Without Fear, Frank Miller's redesign at that point. But I just don't. I think there's something. I think Netflix did a very good job of making that costume, the all red at that point, really work. And yeah, I'm going. It's fiction. We'll be seeing the red costume.
There we go. That's my fact or fictions. And when I'm on next month, I got a good one I saved that I was going to use tonight, but I remembered. So, I got a fun one, but that's what you got to tune in next time.
Fanboy Glaze says Daredevil's yellows can't work, then Wolverine can't work. I wouldn't necessarily go that far in that sense. I think it's a little different.
I think the red and yellow is like the Christmas, how they say like Freddy Krueger wears like red and green because it hurts the eyes. Daredevil's costume, I think on live action could I think yellow and blue go much better together than yellow and bright red. And yeah, and Chris could be right when he's talking about the red. I could also see the way Spider-Man Far From Home gave us the black and red, that maybe we get to Shadowland later. But I would like if we get like a quick clip of Daredevil and we technically see him in the black and red, and I'm right, but I'm not that confident in it. But yeah, I don't know. The yellow, I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah. All right. Last topic of the night. Ultimate 6, number 4, Comic Book Club. Who wants to start this one off? We've got a Nick Fury getting called to the principal's office.
Principal's office.
I'm sorry, Travis, on brand.
So Travis, where are you at with this series?
I've read this obviously a long time ago. I've said this many times. I did on World Finest True Believers, Ultimate X-Men. The Ultimates run as far as Ultimate Iron Man, which I wasn't a big fan of, and then X-Men, Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, X-Men were the ones, the first time ever in my life I had an allowance and I was buying single issues and I was just in the thick of it, and I love those runs so much. So this was exactly, I've talked about many times, what I love about the Sinister Six. I love this, where I always thought when we were going to get the crossover with Sony and Spider-Man, it was going to be Andrew Garfield, and they'd find a way to take some MCU people and have them fight the Sinister Six, and obviously that didn't happen. And if you asked Andrew Garfield, there's no way he's playing Spider-Man ever again, so he didn't get no call, but I bet he got a text. But yeah, I read it all today. I read the first two a few weeks ago, and there were the last two, and I quite like it. I like the weird government, like, hey, if you've like messed with your cells, we're gonna lock you up. Like, there's that one line Nick Fury just says, like, if you're freaks, so we're gonna treat you like freaks. And it's like, this is Nick Fury at like he's not evil, but man, he does not care about people. And he has a job and he needs to get it done. That's all he cares about. We even see that with the president, where the president, like, you got to do this, this, and this. And he's like back talking the president with no subtlety whatsoever. But the first time I liked it, I really enjoyed it because this was the first time I put that in my idea in the head of like, oh, I actually like the Sinister Six. And I like all the additions of the Sinister Six and their versions, except for I like Norman Osborn. I do not like Ultimate Goblin, but I love the breakout. I love like the heist feel, and I love that this episode or this issue is like the bonding, like the full, like, I'm doing this for money, I'm doing this for power, I'm doing this for revenge. It was cool to see like the reverse Avengers moment, but with villains. So
Yeah.
it's just a really fun crossover. Like it's tons of fun. And I think it builds really well. And I think it works better too now reading it all together than when I read it single issues, because even I think it was issue 2 or 3, which was only like 19 pages. It was quick. It went by really fast. So I enjoyed in the past. I've enjoyed rereading it while listening to you guys.
It's Bendis, so I mean, he's not known for his long reads. Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah, that moment you talked about when the reverse Avengers, when Norman is just like, if you want out, you're out. Thanks for your help. Goodbye. If you want to stay, please just listen to me and Otto. You're going to be rich. We're taking down Nick Fury. Let's do this. And yeah, it's an awesome moment. And I like the Goblin monster of all. I mean, classic Goblin is by far the best. I do like this twist on it, but this Norman is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's absolutely fantastic.
He's what I want in the MCU. I want that, like, even if he were to never become which I'd want, but if Ultimate Goblin, Green Goblin, if he was just this Norman running a team of villains or something like that, like the reverse Tony Stark, I would like Dark Avengers type Norman. He's so fantastic. Like some of the back and forth he's had with Fury or Hank Pym in this issues so far this series, it's so good. He's so witty, but he also has points. He kind of has like this like a Thanos thing where he says something, you're like, yeah, that is kind of right in a way, but then obviously he doubles down. Oh, he's just an evil maniac.
Yeah, especially he's got the plan. He's playing chess. He's 10 moves ahead at that point. So he sees exactly, while the rest of, like, let's be honest, like Kraven, Electro, they're not the ones with the plan. Otto and Norman are having the plans, and they both play very well off each other. I don't remember even in the normal Spider-Man, proper 616 comics that they have played this well against each other. Nothing stands out. What about you, Brent? Do you remember anything kind of standing out?
Not really. Nothing to this extent. I mean, Goblin, he wasn't part of the Sinister Six.
Correct.
And so, which is really the big time Dr. Octopus has worked with others. And so this is what the Ultimate line was good at, not just retelling the exact same story, but giving us different twists. And in this case, showing us this team up that's different than what we've seen before.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Fury's President's mad at Fury, Fury's Fury, and just guys like whatever. but the fact that Norman Osborn even though he's a criminal and does something wrong, he still has power and people that will go to bat for him because of that. So he's even more dangerous. Again, he's a wild animal. You backed into the corner, he will hit back, even if you think you've got him dead to rights. But I do love the plan that's working. Like they dropped the hint that they're having cameras follow them, so they sent the Ultimates to Kraven's thing. It's like, what the heck are you talking about? Well, it's misdirection. We got you over here. Well, we're gonna hack your system, and then all hell breaks loose.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. Like the panels when you see like the problems with the computer, and then you just see the cord falling out, and Electro comes out, and there's sand, and then Ultimate gone. It's just like 0 to 100 real quick, especially because the whole time Peter's wanting to get out their help, and they keep telling him, no, stay put, don't do anything. This is the right move. Clearly not the right move, because it's just like it was just a trap. Almost they trapped Peter in there with all of them. And I've always said this before. As much as I don't like Ultimate Goblin, one, visually is always cool, but as much as I don't like him, I love reality show Kraven. I loved that whole thing, like way back in the day when it just started with that punch. And I love, because I was rereading them for this, like the whole startup of him on the reality show. Like this time it's gonna be different, and the rematch, and he's getting like the enhancements. It was a fun change, and it was a really cool dynamic. But yeah, that ending is very much like a movie set piece of all the villains. It's like in Dark Knight when Joker, like he wanted to be arrested, or like Silver and James Bond when it's like same thing. He wanted to be arrested. They wanted it to play out this way because Norman and Octavius have this kind of like, even though it's a weird example because there's a good and bad guy for it, they have like a Xavier Magneto type of back and forth where it's like they're working together now, but you feel like they're eventually going to get off the wrong wavelength. They're not going to get together. They're not going to work together. But right now they have this common goal. So let's see what will happen. I love last issue, and they're like, let's just put our past sins aside. But really cool ending.
Yeah, just finally we get to see what Norman, or next issue we're going to see what Norman is really wanting Peter for to be part of this team.
My boy.
It is still jarring, though, to see Peter Parker unmasked in costume, though, around all these people, all these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Electro shows up. If we're comparing character designs, I like the Ultimate Electro, way more than 616 Electro's design. But he just, all these people around, and he's just like, oh, I'm Peter Parker,
Yeah.
Just, here I am. Here's my face.
It's like, why didn't you come in costume? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize that. But yeah, so next week, issue 5. So.
Boy.
All right. Well, volume 47. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. We'll have to think about when you're coming back next month. So next month, being June, are we in for, you are the podcaster of mischief?
Yeah, well, I might have to cause some mischief, and you might see a potential podcaster of mischief double header. So that's why you always listen to end credits, because you never know when I'm coming. But no, this was tons of fun. I was looking forward to when we could do this. Obviously, I love listening to the show. I miss being on it, but like I said, every month or two, I try to make sure I can make some time to the work schedule, and this did not disappoint. I think everyone live chat, because we had some fun night and good stories. So yeah, it was very good being back. So thank you for having me back.
Thank you for being back. So, but yeah, why don't you tell how everyone can find you?
At Travis B. Snell, like it says in the video or in the description. I'm usually podcasting on Geekverse. I kind of dropped, like I did a few weeks ago. I hosted DC Alliance, or I was on Superhero Discussion. So as I've said before, I'm not on this weekly, but you see me pop up on the podcast network quite a bit. And yeah, I think we're in the works now. We're going to announce something soon, but I think we're going to try and do like a big 1-year anniversary crossover thing with the podcast network. So everyone from Geek Vault Alliance is available with some Geekverse people. We host a show called After 9, which some people may have tuned in. We had a trial. We had Chris and Brent on there helping decide who was guilty or not guilty. You can go listen to that episode, but it is just kind of a fun time. So look out. We'll probably announce something, do a celebration, and yeah, just a big thing. Everyone's listening. It's crazy that we are just under 2 days from a month, and it's going to be our 1 year, and it's been a great time. So that's where you can find me, just talking about random stuff on the internet. I'm sure I'm poking some bears unintentionally or intentionally.
Yeah, I was about to say unintentionally.
I don't always mean to, but it happens.
Yeah, Brent, buddy, how can everyone follow you?
Twitter, Brentac Prime. That is probably the best place to follow me at this point, and that's got links to what I'm doing there.
You don't have a secret account where you pose as someone else and just, like some other actors?
I mean, if I did, I wouldn't tell you. So usually I'm there from behind just laughing when Travis is poking bears. So that's where I'm at.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga. You can follow this podcast at Marvel 8 Podcast. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you got feedback, factor, fictions, questions. Continue to rate and review the podcast network on Apple Podcasts, whatever platform of choice may be. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Thank you all for listening to us at that point. Everyone stay safe out there. And as Stan the Man said, Excelsior, true believers. Well, gentlemen, it's the end of another show. Not official ending, but at least this season. Invincible, episode 8. A lot of dead people. Lots and lots.
Oh my God, that train. Oh my God.
Yes. That just like in the comic, that issue, wow. I mean, it was jarring. This is a whole different kind of jarring at that point.
Holy cow, like the level of the violence that they took this to was something to see. With that, for me, that train was like, seeing that is going to stick with me for a long time.
Well, it wasn't just the train. It was the collapsing building when he's trying to save the mom, and the kid is just like, oh, they're going to go. Oh, they're going there. All right.
Got her arm. Good.
Looking good there, Steve. Looking good there. Looking good there, Mark. Excuse me. Looking good there, Mark.
Is that train moment in the comic books, or is that something new for the show? Okay, so
that's the show.
That is, like Brent said, that is gonna. I was enjoying the whole episode. The episode starts with just like a kick
We're
to
not
the nuts.
masochist and get into this, folks. We're just like,
Yeah, like honestly, it's just with a kick to the nuts of like Omni-Man saying stuff like your mom's a pet, like all this stuff. But like that was the moment that when I saw that my jaw literally dropped, I sat out of my couch. That has stuck with me. That's gonna stick with me for a while because that is just like the ultimate of not only killing people. Like it would be different if Omni-Man just killed people and had Mark watch. He literally took his body and made him kill dozens upon dozens of people. He's just seeing these people splatter across him, and I was floored. And that is gonna stick with me for the rest of my life. That imagery. I don't know if I'll ever see something as disturbing as that. It is. Yeah. It was so ballsy that I was like, wow. Even if there was no other big moments in the finale, I was like, that was worth the price of admission, and it was a great finale. And if you've listened to this and you don't know how I feel, Invincible is just a fantastic show. I've never read the comics. I go back and forth if I will or not because I love being surprised, but then I want more Invincible. But this whole season was outstanding, and as of right now, I loved WandaVision, I love Falcon Winter Soldier, but Invincible is my kind of show to be. This has been my favorite show, but yeah, it was just a fantastic season, but a massive home run for a finale.
Yeah, just the dialogue from Omni-Man to Mark. Mm-hmm. Is just like hearing it and just saying, oh my gosh, like what heart-wrenching evil, just like it's not even beyond the pet thing. It's just like every awful thing you could ever say to your son, your blood at that point. Oh God. Even hearing it was just like J.K. Simmons is cast perfectly for this part.
I mean, he's like, whatever, 17 more years, I'll just have another kid. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God.
So heartless. You know, Travis, I would encourage you at a bare minimum at this point, read that first arc until
I think I might do that. Yeah.
Now I will laugh at you when you're like, I had to read the next one. It was too good. But
and then listen to World's Finest True Believers.
Yeah, there you go. Nice cheap plug there. Yeah, the show is just done a phenomenal thing. Like the voice acting, but when you're talking about Omni-Man, all these great moments. Obviously, you get that last moment where he's just beating him to a bloody pulp, and just the heart wrencher of like, what would I have after everything's gone? He's like, or what would you have? And he's like, I had you, Dad. That moment when Omni-Man flies away and he's breaking the sound barrier, he's going to space, and you just see like a glistening of his tear. Like I know some people might take it as like, oh, he's going through time. No. It's not because he's going so fast. It's just a little tear, and the way it just rolls off his eye into space and kind of just freezes there. Oh my goodness, that is just like, I'm not sure if that's from the comic book, but that feels like panel come to. Okay, yeah, that feels like a panel come to life. That was just haunting because of the situation, but just so well done and beautiful. And that's what, again, that train won't happen. But there's so many lines and so many moments from the finale that have stuck with me, but that moment was just woof. Lots of heavy stuff going on in this episode.
Definitely a lot, but
the Viltrum scene when he says how the Viltrum Empire was born and how it got to the level he was I would have to go double check this, but I don't remember seeing a particular character in the comics during this scene. But this is an advantage of them knowing what happens in the comics now, because they show you another Viltrumite in there, and I'm just like, holy crap! You think Omni-Man's bad?
Yeah, this guy, you ain't seen nothing yet from Viltrumites. There is people 10 times worse. Get ready.
Yeah, there's ready. I can think of at least 3 others that I'm like, they might all be worse than Omni-Man. And one of them was in that scene. And so I'm like, oh man, they're going to do it. I can't wait, but I'm nervous.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We got 2 more seasons guaranteed at that point. Kirkman said on Fat Man Beyond that it will not be 4 years to wait. It'll be a lot. He said it will be a lot quicker for season 2 and 3. But I do want to give a plug to Superhero Discussions. Travis is going to do this this week. He's still getting the recording time down, but definitely check it out. He's going to do a huge deep dive into the series as a whole, so definitely check him out. But any final thoughts before we bringing it to a close?
No, I can't wait for the other seasons. And one time I'd very much like to do a Patreon conversation with you guys about how they could do this live action. Because I know they're producing a film. I know Rogan's part, but there is part of me like, and this has come from someone that hasn't read the comic, just the TV show. I go, this I think could be difficult to have the same impact. And we've talked about it with some stories, whether it be Disney Plus or Daredevil, or like for me watching the TV show, it's like this could only be a TV show. I'm not saying this could only be a TV show, but there's just so much where I go, oh man, like you'd have to lose that, and you'd have to lose like to try and get this down to 2.5. It's like like that's tough. So one time I'd love to do that with you guys. Maybe if I read the first volume and we could do that. But yeah, I'll be there every Thursday at some random early time when it drops. I'll be checking the GUA chat to see if it's dropped and watch it and hope that my kids can be occupied because I watched the first episode with my daughter and I'd heard. So it's
oh wow, big mistake, bud.
Hey, hang on. So, but if you watch the first episode though, until that end credit thing with Omni-Man, I heard it was mature, but nothing bad happens in that first episode. Like there's like case of blood on a cheek, but there's no real violence. So it's like, okay, this is like, maybe they're going to drop a couple F-bombs, but she's young enough. Like that's not going to matter. It's like, okay, watch this. And then the Omni-Man scene happened. I was like, okay, time to go into a different room, young one. So that was a fun little, that first episode was like, okay, it's a little mature. And there's like, gone. But after that, she hadn't watched anymore. So yeah, great show. Can't wait for more.
I love this comic book series so much. The show did not let me down. In general, my only real complaint about the show right now is probably I've only had time to watch it once. I was trying to watch like Falcon and Winter Soldier 3 times every week, and because I really felt like I needed to know those episodes down, and I want to revisit the series. I need to find that time, carve out that time, and get back through the whole thing again. Because I was super impressed with how they did it. I mean, sure, okay, fine. I guess I hope they have a little bit bigger budget because you could definitely see it in some of the animation here and there. But in general, I was super impressed. I feel like it's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time, and I feel like they did them justice.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who I did see some comments about, Mark being a little one note right now. I said, give it time. Again, he's just beginning. It is a joke in the season, like he's invincible, right? Yeah, but he gets the correct kick out of him again. Give it time. He's got a lot of growing up to do in this season. He realizes he may be quote unquote invincible, but he's got some work to do. So again, very excited. No announcement for when season 2 is going to be happening. I suspect it's probably going to be a year plus away. So we'll have to see. But all right, everyone. Catch y'all later.